My time clock, it's 4:15. Let's go
doesn't
ahead
add
and get
up to
started.
me.
I want to be respectful of your time.
I've tried it 3 or 4 times and I can't seem to get
Thank
it.
you all for coming this afternoon. I know we're missing a few people. I've only heard from one that wasn't coming, so hopefully a few more will come in. I am starting to develop sort of a complex here. Look where the empty chairs are. I did use my deodorant this morning and it's still working. Hopefully all of you have the agenda. I would like to add one item to the agenda, if you don't mind. In between approve the minutes and approve the AP, I think we ought to approve the ground rules. Anybody opposed to adding that to the agenda? All righty. First of all, to approve the agenda, any, not Paul? Well, you come late, you gotta sit by me.
You know I don't mind
We'll be
sitting
here
by
early next time.
Okay, anybody have any questions or concerns about the agenda? Look all right to everyone? Okay, I don't feel the need to vote on all these things. Anybody disappointed if we don't? Okay, we'll go with the agenda. The minutes from September 15th, I believe I emailed out to everyone. Did anybody see anything on there they thought was inaccurate or was of concern to them? All right, let's be honest, how many of you haven't looked at the minutes till right now? Anybody see anything there that they didn't like? All right, let's move along then to approving the ground rules. I also emailed that out to everyone. I think I got the changes reflected accurately. Questions, comments, concerns on the ground rules? All right, hearing none, we'll assume they're okay. Approval of the advised administrative procedure. Now, there were quite a few changes there, and I think I got them, but did anybody see anything that I missed from our discussion last time?
I don't, hold on, you didn't print that out, did you?
I think I got them.
I'm not sure I did
Didn't you,
either.
when you
We
sent the
didn't get
minutes,
that.
didn't you send them all together or right close together?
I
Yeah,
thought I sent them.
yeah, they all came close together, because I read
Okay,
I
it.
printed it off for you guys.
I don't remember seeing
He
that.
sent it on September 19th,
I thought I opened all of them.
yeah.
Okay. Do I need to make some copies so we can look at that? Okay, I
Couldn't,
thought I
thank you.
sent that.
You guys want to look
Yeah,
at
it's
your
on the
money?
19th.
Right.
How many of you need this?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. All right, well, let's table that item for just a couple minutes and talk a little bit about insurance and benefits. I hope I send out to you the insurance information. It said insurance information for United SJSD. Did people get that?
Yes.
Okay. As I understand the plan, and board members heard this on Monday night, and Dr. Newhart's heard it a lot of times. If I misspeak here, somebody jump in. As I understand what J.W. Terrell believes they can get for us, and right now we're discussing only the period from January 1, 17 through June 30th, 17. Okay, that's just that 6-month period. They're anticipating no plan changes or premium changes. So the plan stays the same, premium stays the same, with the possible exception of the dental program, and they're not anticipating any premium increase. It'll either stay the same or go down. It is possible that there would be a carrier change. Right now we are with KC Blue, and they have not yet gotten their final. I got an email from Laura yesterday. It says, we have not received the best and final from the incumbent KC Blue as of yet, so we will still have the possibility of a same as current situation with them. So it will either be same or lower premium, and if not identical, very similar coverage. Now, if they change providers, I can't guarantee you that every single provider that's on the list now will be, but they're saying it's going to be very similar, if not better. Comments, concerns, questions that you have that we can address or try to address?
And that's regarding the conflict.
Yes, and the division is going to be the same, the health's going to be the same, the one that's in question a little bit is just the dental. Okay, thank you, Wes.
With regard to deductibles on carryover, I think it probably needs to be clarified, communicated to the staff what is going to happen with carryover on deductibles for this year too, so,
Anybody else need one?
yeah, thank you.
I got it. Is that it?
Is that, Todd, a question on December of 16 to January of 17?
So people, as they meet their deductibles, how their deductible is going to carry through this year as we transition in the middle of the year, are they going to have to, I think I have a pretty good handle on how it's going to happen, but I don't know if the staff's going to, there's going to cause some anxiety of.
You're talking about the June to July
Correct.
17?
Right. Yeah, I think we need to communicate early and get that on board where, look, it's going to carry through so we don't cause anxiety with the staff, you know, as far as, look, your deductible's going to stay with you through this year. And
I
just
agree.
trying to be proactive on that.
Because I've already heard people asking, so we're gonna
Oh,
have a deductible twice now, like that's where
Yes.
people's minds are automatically going.
Right,
So,
and that would be something we need to iron
So
out.
I think, you know, as it's, if it's approved by the board, then at that board meeting, a clarification statement on deductible would be very, very good.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, concerns on the benefit package, the insurance, health, dental, or vision?
I'm really glad there's no increase to the employees. I know early on we were talking about an increase, so thank you for getting it when we don't have an increase.
I would love to take credit for that, but I had nothing to do with it. Yeah,
Somebody.
that was JW Terrell. They have done a really good job working for us to get us in a good situation, I think. Okay. This is an item that I would like to have us vote on to get a consensus, so that, because the board needs to act on this quickly, and also we need it in terms of, for the enrollment period, needs to start really quickly. Before we vote, anybody else have anything they would like to say, or?
So I just have a question, like, when we'll know for, like, when they're gonna give us information for the July?
When we start
Yeah,
July 1
yeah,
through June 30? The last I heard, they were hoping to let us know by early January. Is that correct, Dr. Newhart?
They will immediately, once we get this piece done, they will immediately turn their attention to the July renewal and hoping similar format to where we can get that accomplished with the board approval through this whole similar format
Sure,
by April.
okay.
Question, any
That
other?
is going to be a more difficult process.
Well, that's where we also are looking at if we want to go self-funded or not. So it'll be a larger question
Right.
whenever we go to that
Yeah,
piece.
we want to get the easy part out of the way here,
Right.
and then we'll tackle that later. Any other comments, questions, concerns?
And I think they're going to hear that talk of going from a 5 to 10% assumption of risk. I think it needs to be clarified that that does not fall on the employee, it falls on the employer. Again, it'd be better to have all this stuff crystal clear
Proactive.
so that the employees don't get all tense about it.
I think they'll do a good job because we did ask them about the education piece.
Excellent.
Yes. So I think they will be really, they will work diligently to
Yeah.
make sure that that's clear.
And real honestly, I'm hoping that'll be one of the most positive outcroppings of this group, is that now there are at least 16 of us in the room who have good information, accurate information, that we can pass along to the groups that you represent. Okay? So again, to reiterate, no plan change, no premium increase, everything remains the same with the possibility of dental being a different carrier, but no premium increase for dental either. All those who would be in favor of supporting that, would you raise your hand, please? Okay, opposed? All right, thank you very much. We had a consensus on that. Okay, now let's move back to the AP for GCQD. If you need a couple minutes to look through that, go ahead and we'll see if anybody finds anything they feel like needs to be changed.
Under guidelines membership, the first sentence says the team shall consist of 2 groups, certified and non-certified. No, that was the whole purpose, right, of
No, we're,
changing?
we are certified and non-certified.
Oh,
It's
I
just-
read 2 groups.
Just not that they don't meet separately. I
Okay,
think that's what.
okay, I understand. Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you, that's right.
Yeah, because she's,
No, we don't get separate though, yeah, there's still 2.
Yeah, the verbiage that was taken out was a part about meetings of
Meetings
the whole
separately,
and meetings
yeah.
of the.
Thank you.
I would like clarification on your negotiation.
what page are you on?
I do not have it in front of me.
It's at the very bottom of page 4, negotiations team. And then it goes on to page 5.
It's just like the piece that you just voted on. Does that go to the negotiation team next?
My understanding of the process, and I'm just making this up as I go, so correct me. My understanding of the process was this group is to give input onto any topics that fall under the purview of negotiations. Those recommendations are given to the negotiations team, which for this group would be the 2 MSTA and the 2 NEA members. And then they meet with the 2 board, myself, Wes, Dr. Newhart, and that is the negotiations team. Is that a accurate synopsis?
I think in general, yes, but with the insurance, the way it's falling, and there was no, I mean, with the timeline, because it even says we can't negotiate till after January 1 anyway.
February 1,
Or
actually.
February 1, since this is more of a time
Right.
thing, then I would think insurance wouldn't have to, in this instance now, our full contract insurance would have to.
Right.
So you're willing to bypass that negotiation team on this 6-month renewal insurance?
Don't you think?
Yeah, we probably need to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And
All
I
right.
think we've talked enough to our people,
Yeah.
we know.
Is that a yes?
Yes, we're comfortable doing that.
With a note that, yes,
Yes.
for this time, yes.
For this time, we are comfortable doing that.
Sure. Well, yeah, anything would be taken on an individual basis like that. Okay, did that answer your question, Dr. Newhart?
Yes. I didn't want it to be an issue.
Okay. Right. Anybody see anything else in the administrative procedure that they feel like is still not what we discussed last meeting? Okay, so can we consider this approved then? Any naysayers? You guys are all really agreeable, I like that.
Wait till you get the calendar.
Okay, yeah. Now we'll see. It's calendar time. All right, let me tell you a little bit. You should all have access to 4 different calendars, 2 12-month, 2 school year calendars. What I did was, and we can use these, we can tear them apart, change them, whatever. This is just a starting point. On the 12-month calendar and the teacher calendar, if you will, the school day calendar, if you look at the tops of the pages, one of them at the very top of the 2 school year calendars gives the start and stop date. On the upper left-hand corner, one is August 14 to May 16, the other August 15 to May 16. In the middle at the top, it tells how many days there are off at Christmas, 10 on one, 9 on the other. And then on the right-hand corner at the top, the number of student contact days and the teacher days, both 170 and 181. The only differences on them besides the start and stop date, which just made the PD days begin 1 day earlier on the one calendar, is the placement of spring break. On one of them, it is the week of March 19th. On one of them, it is the week of April 2nd. I put 2 different versions in there just for a little variety and because I could. Good Friday this year is, or not this year, the year we're talking about. Good Friday in 2018 is on March 30th, okay? So by having spring break the week of the 19th, you've got a Friday off, then a week off, then a Friday off. If you move it to the week of April 2nd, it wraps around Good Friday on the 30th. We can put it the second week of May if you want, I don't care. But those are the 2 that I put there. The other difference in the calendars is, that's reflected on the two 12-month calendars too. The spring break being in the week of the 19th or the week of April 2nd. All right, I'm not sure which one we want to start. Well, let's look at the school year calendar first. This pretty much mirrors what we did this year in terms of start and stop and number of PD days, all that kind of stuff. General comments, please be gentle when you make these. General comments about things that you think maybe need to be examined further.
The one calendar you sent out before these two, the one where we were starting on a Thursday, is that?
The one that I sent out first, I probably should not ever send out. I wanted to get something out to you, and I saw that it had us, we were working on Saturdays and all kinds of stuff.
That's not gonna fly.
Yeah, when I saw that, I thought probably this is not a good idea.
Well, I kind of like starting on like a Wednesday or a Thursday. Starting on a Monday and going the whole week, it's a long week. By Friday, the kids are done, we're done. So I don't know if we could look at starting on a Wednesday or a Thursday. Other schools around us kind of do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's certainly something we can look at. Let me give you one other bit of information and why I did it. I kept both semesters at 85 days. I was told, my experience has been all as a secondary person. I was never in the elementary. I was a secondary principal and that sort of thing. I believe at the secondary level it's really important to have equal length semesters, because if you're teaching a semester class and one semester is 80 days and the other one's 90, that creates a problem. If you've got your dual credit classes, that can become problematic for them. So that's how I made first semester end before Christmas. But yeah, we can definitely look at starting on a Wednesday instead of a Monday. Obviously that will affect when Christmas break is and those types of things.
So are you saying if you start on a Wednesday to move it to a Wednesday prior to, so that the semester ends before Christmas, which is what I think Dr. Kraus is saying? So you would be willing to start the week earlier on a Wednesday?
No.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, to end it before Christmas, is that what we?
That's the main problem with
semester?
everyone that I've talked to, is we start way too early.
Yeah, I mean, I was just
Especially
throwing that out there.
On the air-conditioned buildings.
Yeah.
It's
I knew that
way
was gonna
too
be your
hot.
answer, but I guess my point was, if we do go on a Wednesday, will that put us then ending the semester after Christmas, which is gonna uneven those semester
Well,
days?
it would depend on what Wednesday we started. You know, if we started Wednesday the 16th, you know, you could do that. If you start Wednesday the 23rd, then there'd be no way you could get all your days in before Christmas.
So if we look at the 10-month calendar, if we start on Wednesday the 16th and bump two of those professional development days down, or work days, or whatever we're calling them, down to the 14th and 15th, how will that affect the semester on the 10-month calendar?
Well, then to get your 85 days in, you would end on December 21st. And break would start the 22nd, and then if you went 10 days, you would come back on Friday the 5th for a PD day. Students would start the 8th.
Could we enter?
And I'm just
Yeah, that's
making this up as I go.
So my question is, and obviously I'm not a teacher, but I have been a student before, and we took our exams after Christmas break, and it wasn't the end of the world. So that's just my question, like why we can't start later in the summer.
I
and
know
take
that
the exams
that was one of the
so
big
that the
issues.
semesters can be even.
Any of my secondary people weigh in if you have an opinion.
I think when we used to have the finals policy, and you can tell, I mean, we've had, and then we're kind of reinstituting that now, but with the finals, I think people thought coming back from Christmas break, I think that was probably the main difference of then moving it up to a traditional, kind of almost like college, getting
Right.
out there right at Christmas. But yeah, we used to come back, and then if you had weather, then it screwed this, like there was an ice storm one year, and it screwed the whole finals up, and then it pushed it back a week, then it pushed the start of second semester back a week, and I think that was probably the most concrete way of looking at it to do it. I mean, there's arguments definitely for both sides for starting later. I mean, as a guy who has to search I'm the air conditioner guy in the building at Central, and I'm running around and begging people to switch rooms and move, and trying to beg for air conditioners when we don't have the wattage to support them in the building. And There's so many different ways of looking at it. I mean, my
Right.
gosh, I can tell you, when you're trying to do all the accommodations for 504s
Yeah.
and stuff like
Well,
that,
and that's
it's
just
a
coming from the
nightmare.
nursing perspective and
It's a
knowing
nightmare.
what that heat is doing to those kids.
We switched
It's
to a
not good.
mandatory final. Now, it used to be if you met an attendance standard, you didn't have to do finals.
Right,
And then when we switched to mandatory, that was when we had the big push to make it after Christmas. So the two went together.
okay,
When you went to mandatory, we made it before Christmas because everybody was required.
okay.
Now, if we were to push it after Christmas and you gave that incentive for kids to meet that attendance incentive,
Which we do.
Which
But
we
aren't
are now, we're in the way of
EOCs
coming back into that.
Now we do EOCs.
yeah, the
It's not
EOCs
same
are,
as it
but
used to
they're,
be. It's
Aren't they given as
most
a
of those
final?
are at end of year as
So the
opposed to end of
EOCs aren't
semester.
given as a final at the end of a semester? Oh, most of them are year-long classes?
Yeah,
So, I
so,
mean, your governments and stuff are done earlier before, they would be
Right.
done still before Christmas break. I mean, they happen a little earlier than just.
so if we're gonna switch back to the non-mandatory final, we could maybe look at that again.
I agree with Brian and what he said about it is long, teaching a primary grade. It is too long for them to start on a Monday of full days. Is there a middle ground where maybe Monday, Tuesday to where it's hitting each day of the block scheduling, or we do it early out and then we could put some of our PD in the afternoon and adjust it that way? Just a thought. It gives the kids a break. It kind of eases them into it more than boom, here we go, Monday morning, you're here all day. They're in tears by Wednesday. I mean, it's
Now, you're
just.
talking about the kids or the teachers?
Especially the kids.
Yes,
Maybe devastated, they can't take
it's just, yeah. So I agree completely. It's too much.
Well, by Friday, we're done. I mean, everybody's just
Right.
done.
So
It is hard.
So Jessica, how will, your initial suggestion was start later in the year. How much were you thinking?
Well, I mean, even a week, I think, would help with the heat, but, I mean, I think most of the feedback I got was, like we used to do it in the old days after September, after Labor Day. I'm not necessarily, agreeing with that, but I think even a week later would be helpful temperature-wise.
Eric, I didn't hear what your perspective was as a secondary guy.
Well, I've never taught and had to come back after December. It is nice to be able to close things down, but I personally, I could see it going both ways, especially now that we have the system in place where if students are meeting the attendance and they don't have to take the finals and they don't have to, whether they don't have to come to school or whatever the case is, then I could see that would be a nice incentive to add on to that Christmas break or that holiday break at the end, so they wouldn't have to come back at the end of that.
Tammy, what
Since
do
we
you
have
I'm just
that, is
gonna
that-
speak as a student who, and I taught both elementary and secondary, as a student who has to come back after Christmas break, you've had that break, you haven't studied, you're not gonna do as well. I mean, you're just not gonna do as well, how much energy you're gonna put into it. And probably we don't wanna bring this in because we're talking academics, but usually right after Christmas, there's a basketball tournament and all of our kids are late nights at ball games, whether they're band or whether they're playing on the team or they're cheerleaders, and so you're running into that first week after Christmas, or after Christmas break, and so I feel like for our kids, the heat's not good for them either, but to not end, it seems kind of unfair for secondary kids to not end that semester before Christmas. It's, they have to, that's a lot to ask of them, but that's
The
just.
secondary kids are the ones that are sitting a month and a half in the 100
In the
degree
heat,
temperature.
yes.
I think Robert wants to make a point.
Would it matter, as long as you could enter in semester before Christmas, if the length of semesters were different? Secondary people?
You mean have different,
Like, first semester was
80 or 90.
80
in before
days?
Christmas, say might be 80 days, 79 days maybe at the most.
Like Dr. Kraus said, I mean, maybe it might be hard for the AP classes or something like that if they're,
Yeah.
I don't know though. That's something we'd have
That'd
to.
be something worth asking teachers in the secondary world about, because I mean, in my AP class, I could definitely make that work, but I don't know if
everybody could.
every AP class could do
Because,
that.
well, typically in the second semester, you take up maybe about a week to do end-of-course exams
Yeah.
and wrapping up into the year anyway, but that, in my opinion, is the easiest way to address that problem. If the secondary can get things done in semester classes on a, say, a 5-day shorter.
But correct me if I'm wrong, with the attendance, the students are still going to be required to come to school.
Correct.
So they're not going to be in the classroom taking the final, but they will be somewhere in the building doing something.
Currently, that, on the attendance and sitting piece, correct.
Right, okay,
They have to be, still come to school.
yeah,
Okay.
To be counted in attendance.
right.
Let me back up just 1 minute here. Was anybody favoring the 9 teacher day off at Christmas over the 10-day, or are we looking at the 10? If, I'm trying to eliminate whatever we can here first.
Certified staff
Certi-
was 10,
10.
was
Okay.
our preference from when we put people
That's what you
And is
got?
that the one with the spring break?
at
Well-
Easter.
I didn't bring my phone.
Yeah, don't-
I'm so
Easter.
sorry. Okay.
Don't pay attention to where the spring break is. That can be either placed on either
But
calendar.
the
That was the one, I think.
The 10-day has.
The 10-day
Easter.
right now has spring break the first week of April.
Gotcha.
So is there, do we need to still be looking at both the 9 and the 10-day off at Christmas, or can we eliminate the 9?
Everybody wants the 10?
We were unanimous. We didn't have anybody want the 9. No.
You did not have anybody that wanted?
So we can just kind
Okay,
of
so-
put that in the, we're not going to do pile.
Yeah,
The
this can
start
be,
date was the only argument we had.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, Alyssa, what did you say was the
The
only?
start day
Start date?
went like,
Okay,
because it is an awful long week if we go full days for 5 days.
okay.
Is the early out that
Yeah.
Melissa suggested for a couple days an option at all? Just being in elementary, I know what she's saying about the kindergartners are serious, not just, it's
Well,
rough on elementary. but I really
You know, there are 4, between PD days and work days, there are 4 there at the start of school. If you took a couple of them and made them half days, you could go 2 half days of attendance, well, no, because then you'd be short of instructional time.
What is our break for early out that it counts as a full day, like
4 hours.
4
Are
hours?
we going back to that?
Then we
Because I
can-
thought we were by minutes now.
Well, it is.
We're under
We are.
so it's both. You're under 174 additional days,
So-
so you still have to attend.
If we eliminated an instructional day
4
or
hours
2
would
from
count
the
as a
first and
day.
second semester, would that fix the problem like you were
Clock hours.
saying?
An instructional day?
Is that what you
No, because we have to have 174 instructional days.
Okay. But if you did an early out
I
at
mean,
the,
170, I'm sorry, 170 instructional days.
even if you did a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday early out to the point that we can count it as a full day, which you said is after 4 hours, correct? Then that wouldn't hinder instructional time because it would be counted as full days. But they would get the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday early out, then go all day Thursday, all day Friday.
Would make a mess with the
Would have to
block.
be an even amount,
Yeah.
right, for block scheduling? It would have to either be 2 or 4
Yeah.
days.
Like early out. It's
And I thought we were
just
moving
hard.
away from the early
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, the parents, we had a lot of bad feedback on
Yeah,
that.
very bad feedback.
With the way Christmas falls this year, would anybody be opposed to going all week before Christmas and then coming back the Monday after
Like the 8th?
missing the whole
Back
first
the
week of
8th.
January?
Yeah.
That would solve your day problem, because then you could start on a Thursday, work those extra 3 days, and then just take that Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off that first week of
So we
January.
would
So you would be,
trade this?
they would be working December 20, 21, 22
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first
How about
day,
that
first day of school then
whole-
would be the
And that
17th.
whole,
next week, and then you would add those 3 days on the first week of January.
Would be, yeah, those
And then
3 days off
we
would
would
be the
have a-
3rd, 4th, 5th.
And then the
PD
kids would still be coming back on the 8th.
PD on the 8th,
PD work
And
day.
then the kids would come
and then
in.
the kids would come on the 9th.
Kids would come on the 9th.
And that still give you your 10 days off?
Would that work for second semester?
Well, it would push, the end of school would be then on the 21st.
No, you're not
Instead
pushing
of
it at the
16.
end, you're taking the days off at the beginning. I thought that's what they wanted to do, start
Well, but
later.
if-
She's talking about, yeah.
You have to shift it down though.
Yeah, they would go down.
Oh,
to the-
okay. So you want to leave this,
Yeah,
The
But-
same end date, second semester would stay kind of the same.
well, you can't because you've got to have those 3 vacation days that you took, the 20th, 21st, and 22nd, have to then go to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Unless teachers only want 7 days off
Oh,
at
no.
Christmas, which I doubt.
We would have,
No.
yeah, instructional days of 4th, 5th, and 8th.
I guess I
We have
didn't
to
work, I
add
worked in my mind, but it didn't work
a
on paper,
January
did
that
it?
we're gonna take off.
That's why I wanted.
Or could we come back that Friday for PD the 5th and the kids could start the 8th? So that they're starting on a
Everyone
Monday.
hated that. When we came back on that Friday that one time, was that a couple years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone was furious.
Yeah.
Because it killed the weekend of
Yeah.
break.
That would give
And you
everyone-
can't call in sick now, you can't use a PD day.
Okay.
Yeah, that would make your second semester shorter, wouldn't
And so if we,
Ideas, we need.
It sounds like you need to decide what your absolutes are and then build back in from there.
Right.
Because you've got all sorts of vectors here, and I'm sitting here in the professional technical 12-month side, but I'm seeing it's just, we're kind of recombining all these ideas. You got to agree first on what your framing is and then pack in your semester inside that.
So let's list the concerns we have with this calendar, and then maybe based on that, we can create, or you can create a calendar.
it's a lot of pressure, Alyssa.
Maybe what you like.
Yep,
Well,
All
we
right.
like the Easter, the break around Easter, spring break.
okay,
That was some of the most positive feedback
Get the
we
consensus,
received.
all right.
There was the concern with starting on a Monday first day.
Can I stop you for a minute, Alyssa?
Yep.
Let's see, we're hearing from the teachers that the spring break, the week of the 2nd was popular. How about from the rest of you folks?
Yes.
Okay, so pretty unanimous that spring break be the 2nd through the 6th, correct?
Well, the 30th.
Well, the 30th
Good Friday
is-
counts as
Good Friday is going to be off no matter where spring
Okay, well, I
break is.
just want
but-
to make sure.
Yeah, Good Friday's the 30th, that would be off anyway, and then the spring break the week of April 2nd. Everybody in agreement with that? Okay, well, that's progress.
Yeah.
All right, now go on to your next one, Alyssa.
It was a consensus that starting on a Monday is hard,
Okay,
especially in elementary,
that's been
full
pretty
days and
unanimous, I think.
secondary with it being so hot in some locations.
And then early outs
Started
aren't
with a
that.
lockdown too, can you?
Yeah.
You gotta schedule that in, okay?
Yeah.
That I can't
It's a waste of the day.
Yeah, and early outs aren't, while they're beneficial for the little ones with, in secondary, it's very hard to start with early outs, from what I hear. Elementary, it's a little easier for us to start with early outs, but in middle and secondary, in middle and high school, it's not.
Okay,
So,
all right,
if
so,
we could start on a Wednesday, that would be better than starting on a Monday.
okay. I
Kids
heard-
start, you mean,
I heard
Kids
Alyssa
start.
saying Monday start was bad. I didn't hear anybody disagree with that. Is that correct?
I think
Okay.
it was a long week in the high school. I mean, Eric, what do you
Oh,
taught
it's
it,
a
it was a long week.
Okay, so we try not to start on Monday. Wednesday acceptable? Start day, okay. So if we're doing that, we need to decide which Wednesday. It'd be 16th, 23rd, 30th, just depends on if you want to go to school into June or not.
I would do this.
I do 16.
16th, yeah.
So that's
good
only losing
compromise.
2 days, so couldn't we just take 2 days off in December, the 20th and 21st, and we would still have the 22nd off? Wouldn't that fix
Okay.
it right there?
And we could
You
shift.
guys are always one decision ahead of me.
I'm just-
Okay, yeah, no, that's a great point.
If we're just shifting,
Yeah.
shifting the start day
Two.
down 2 days, just take off the 20th and the 21st from December, we would go the 20th and the 21st, but we'd have the 22nd off.
All right, so
going-
go ahead, Michelle.
Are we going to school on the 20th? I'm not clear, because
We're on the 10
You
day.
normally would be off on.
Are you on the
Yours
10th?
isn't.
Okay.
You're on the
10
9-day.
We're on the
10-day off calendar,
Okay.
the 19th is the last day of school,
Okay.
right
The
now.
9-day we do it.
Okay, so is everybody agreed that the 16th would be the better start date than the 23rd?
Yes.
Everybody okay with that?
What does that push?
Jessica,
I'm okay, I mean,
you got an
I
air
work in air
conditioning building.
conditioning. But I
Okay.
truly do.
So if we
It's
start on the,
hard.
start on the 16th, that's moved it two instructional days back. Are we okay with taking the 20th and 21st, making them instructional days and getting out on the 22nd?
Yes.
And then would you?
But I need to see the whole picture.
Okay.
I can't
All right,
say yes
if-
to that until I see the whole
if-
picture.
if
Or
we-
teacher.
But it wouldn't, it wouldn't change the second
I know,
semester
but
at
I'm
all.
looking, because that's a trickle effect and that takes.
Well, no, the second
everything else.
semester would stay the
No,
same.
it would
No,
not.
'cause we're only getting
Because-
8 days then.
Yeah, right.
Because you have
Like
to,
Christmas.
you put those days that we're working now, unless you're taking away those
But-
vacation-ish days.
It doesn't have to.
We're adding them
They
to
don't
the
have
end.
to give us, they don't have
That
to, it
means we
doesn't,
get
Okay.
less at break-in.
I
So it won't like
understand,
that.
we're still getting a long break.
I think the
we're
trickle
trying to
effect
keep
would
it
be
even.
if we had instruction on December 20th and 21st, you would either need to go with 8 days off at Christmas or make Wednesday, January 3rd and Thursday, January 4th vacation days and have PD on the dreaded Friday.
We're still getting 2 weekends off already, I guess. And we have to be willing to give 2, guys. I mean, we're still getting 2 weekends off. If it has to be even, which I understand, I get that, we're gonna have, like he said, we're gonna have to prioritize and.
Another way to
We're
do it
also
would
still
be to
drafting.
start on the
Right.
17th, the Thursday in August, and work
Have people
the
would make-
22nd, and then that would put you still being off on the 5th and coming back for your P-Day on Monday, the 8th. Does that make sense? Instead of starting on Wednesday, start on Thursday.
What do you got, Brandy?
Would it be possible to add an end on Friday, the 18th of May? To add those 2 days at the end of the year?
Well, they'll have to go somewhere. I mean, we'll have to figure out.
And then that the last day of school would be a Friday.
So if kids come on the 17th and we work the 22nd, that whole week of December, we have a work day on Monday, the 8th,
Right,
PD work day, that's still up for conversation, and kids come back the 9th. And then kids' last day is the 18th.
well, not if you do the 20th, 21st, and 22nd as instruction, because then you're moving 3 days. You'd have to go the 17th, 18th, and 21st would be the last day.
What day's graduation?
The 13th. That puts,
You're
All
pushing
of
it.
them, we're already graduated before school's.
It can be,
Wow.
Graduation
where
should be
that
the
end
weekend of the
date is.
19th, shouldn't it?
it can be moved to where graduation is after school's out for everybody.
Or
There's
the-
also actually
19th.
Mother's Day.
That's
as
when a
well.
lot of graduations are. Could you do it on a
You
Saturday?
could do it on the
Could you
20th.
do a graduation on Saturday? Is there something against that?
You can do graduation whenever you want.
They're usually-
Well, we shifted our graduation.
Wasn't there
to
usually a track meet on
Saturday.
Saturdays? I would assume that time of year.
Yeah, state or district.
And
Sorry, state golf.
state golf and baseball and.
yeah, I heard a lot of people say that going a whole week to start's not good, and I think we're fixing that. Is it a problem is the day of the week that you end school on as big a deal as when you started?
And
This year, aren't we ending on like a Monday or a Tuesday?
This year already, they're ending on a Monday.
So yeah, it's
so
kind
that
of,
would continue, we're ending on a Monday this year.
it's early in the week this year, isn't it?
It
that
says
we're-
Wednesday
It's a
is our last
Wednesday
day.
this year.
Our day.
May 17th.
Oh, I guess
Our
it's
day
Thursday.
is a,
It's a Thursday.
But the
We
kids
have
are
to come
on.
back.
May
Thursday.
17th.
That's this year's calendar.
The kids in on a Wednesday, we end on a Thursday.
It's Christmas break I'm thinking of, that we only come back
Oh,
like
this year?
from,
this year.
yeah, for this year's calendar.
Mess up your summer school start date too.
Okay, if, you know, where we're bogged down, I think, is that PD day on a Friday.
So they end on
Is
a
that the
6th,
problem?
yeah, so that'd be fine.
On the 5th,
Say that again.
Yeah,
Sorry, say that again.
okay, it seems like where we're bogging down is, do we or do we not want to force a PD day on that Friday the 5th? Is that kind of the sticking point?
Well, I think it depends on the blackout situation. If it's a mandatory blackout, I think it might be a mistake if people are wanting to extend if they're staying somewhere. They can't take that as a blackout. It's a blackout day. You can't take a personal day that day.
Or it's a restricted day, yeah.
Restricted day.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now, if we do the workday slash PD on the 8th and end on the 21st, that's not much different than this year's schedule. Does that work? And the kids come back on the 9th if we end on the 21st?
Sure, I mean, you could do that, it's just a matter of,
Is anybody opposed to ending on a Monday? We're ending on a Tuesday this year with kids, so teachers would come the 22nd.
Okay, what month are you talking?
Okay, so, okay, in January, if we come back on January, have our workday PD day.
Right.
And then in January, kids come back the 9th.
Right.
Then down here in May, kids would end on the 21st.
correct.
And staff would have a work day on the 22nd.
That just messes up summer school, doesn't it?
Well, summer school then, workday would be the 23rd, and then you would, it hasn't been determined yet what summer school's gonna look like for sure in terms of length or number of days. But your first day of summer school then would be the 24th.
And summer school didn't used to start till January 1.
June.
June 1, sorry. June 1.
Well, yeah, I think that makes more sense.
So, I mean,
Kids come back one more day of school, like they would come back the 21st.
What is it?
Yeah.
I think we'd have a large
The attendance
absence,
correct.
absences would be crazy.
Has to be on that Monday, I think.
And a lot of them blow
Not
that.
any more than if you ended it on Tuesday, the 22nd.
and that's what we're ending it on this year, the Tuesday.
Yeah,
Parents will know
there.
that's the last day of school and plan accordingly. If they're already gonna be gone, they're gonna be gone, and if they're not, the kids will be there.
And if they're, honestly, this year, what I foresee happening, either they'll miss Monday and Tuesday, or they'll be there Monday, Tuesday, you know.
Okay, so again, we're coming down to, do we do PD on Friday, the 5th, and end on a Friday? Or do we do PD on the 8th and end on a Monday?
Do we have to do PD in that 8th, or can we just come back on the 8th with kids? And do a PD later on in January?
No matter
But,
what you do.
never mind.
Student day.
Do we have to do a PD in January? Do we need that many PD days? Is that required? Because we're talking about making that half a work day. Could we just eliminate a PD day?
Or put it at the end of your calendar year and have teachers come back for 2 days instead
That's
of the
not a
one.
good idea. That won't
Okay,
go
It's nice
over
to
well.
have the PD day at semester to.
I just didn't know if we needed,
Well,
if it was a required thing.
Well, with shifting the beginning of school, could we take that day and put it at the beginning of the year? I mean, that would be 5 then, but if we're starting on a Thursday, that means we would go a Thursday, a Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Or no, I'm sorry.
No, we already did the break.
I'm talking about at the beginning of the year. Could you take that January day and just shift it to the beginning?
To that first week of August.
Yeah.
Which is
We're
when
back.
people need to be working anyway. When you need.
I mean, if we're trying to
Maybe
eliminate it from the
take
second
work day.
semester, just take it and shift it up there and have 5 days
Or even,
rather than, because we're not gonna have that weekend regardless, right? It doesn't.
no, well, if we
So,
have it on the 8th, we can.
that's what I'm saying, so take that day and stick it in August, then that gives you that weekend in January.
So then the kids are back on the 8th,
They would come on the 8th,
and then we don't have to come back that Monday.
because we've already had that PD day in
You don't have to
August.
come back on a Monday with kids. That's a good plan.
I mean, you probably have, I don't know, you're getting ready for your second, I mean, you teach a lot of semester classes, well, I guess.
Now they've been shifted to full year
But
classes.
would you be, depends if you're a semester teaching, do you need that, do semester teachers need that one day?
Is that a
to-
work day or is that?
When they come back for that work day, they
It's
get their
not.
new schedules, or do you think, I mean,
When
they
we
would have
come
to
back,
really
that's-
get.
That's not a work day when we come
It's not a
back.
work day,
That's a
it's a
PD day.
PD day. That's
So
what I'm
it-
saying, it's a PD day, but then
so
they get to kind of look at their schedule, see what kids they've got. Do you think it matters?
We don't have time to look at our schedules and do all that
That's what I'm trying to
stuff,
say.
so I don't think
Yeah,
that
when I
affects
remember
anybody
it,
who's
you
starting
just go.
a
I
new
mean,
class.
kids will know when they leave, come to school, get their schedules at this point, this place, this place, and it's a chaos no matter how you do it, because everyone wants to change their schedule anyway.
Yeah. So I don't
So
think
I'm
that affects
thinking we
that
would
part
go
of it.
Friday and then.
okay, those of you who are representing
1, 2, 3,
teachers,
there's 5.
Melissa's suggestion was take that PD day out of January. And if we start school the 16th, that would mean there would be PD on Wednesday the 9th, Thursday the 10th, Friday the 11th, Monday and Tuesday the 14th and 15th.
Are we starting on
Students would-
15th or 16th?
Students would
That's
start
right.
the 16th.
So that would be 9, 10, 11.
And then in January, that would mean vacation for teachers and students would go through the 5th, and everybody would start back on the 8th with a regular school day.
And everybody just gained an extra day at Christmas, because they have the 20.
That's what I was
Right.
thinking, and it
Yeah.
gains that
Now it's an
weekend.
11-day Christmas break instead of 10, because you have Friday the 22nd and then 2 full weeks.
No, we got rid of the
We got rid of the 22nd.
No,
Oh,
22nd.
No, the 22nd,
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, but they would still have, that'd be the
Still
full
have
week.
10 days.
if
the
we're
full
starting
week
on
of the
Wednesday,
25th
it would
and the
only
full
take
week of
away
the
2 of
1st.
those
I mean,
days, we would get the 22nd
Does anyone
off.
disagree with, when I think
No,
back to
It
my
doesn't
mom
take-
getting ready for
It doesn't take the
Christmas?
22nd
you know,
away. If we're only starting on a Wednesday, we only take away the 20th and the 21st, not
That's
the
true.
22nd.
So we have
We
that
would
Friday.
still have the 22nd off.
Okay, right.
I think
You're
people-
right.
If we started on Thursday, it would take that away, but
Are you
It's
following?
Thursday and early
And I
hours.
gotta
would
say,
be-
Brian, I mean, up till this year, we've always operated on the 180-day contract. I just wanna make sure we're not throwing an extra, because I keep seeing
Right.
181, and we're trying to add it up down here, we're just not coming up to that number. I wanna make sure we're clear that where we're at on that, so.
Okay. My understanding was that there's 181 days in the work calendar this year. Is that
No,
not correct?
we can't,
Can't.
I've got
Can't.
this year's calendar, I can't come up to that number. Last year, we operated off a 180-day, that's how we talked about it 1,000 times, and we just want to make sure that we're, in fact, the best we can come up with from this year is 9 teacher days and not even 10.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking 179.
Okay, now, don't forget, you get the 2 Fridays off for parent-teacher weeks. Those are actual work days.
But those are comp days for.
I know, but they're counted
They're
as work
counted as
days.
work
That's where the
days.
181 comes from.
Oh, that's how you're counting.
Yeah, they have to be counted as work
So
that you're getting
that's
them
why you're
off
getting
for the
179.
parent-teacher conference. So they're actually counted as work days.
Because we work the extra load.
We are.
Correct, so you work the extra load on
That
whatever
makes
days for parent-teacher conferences.
Okay.
So that's what it
Alright.
comes
So
out
it's
to.
179 that you're actually
Yes.
present,
Okay.
Yes,
but
yes.
181 that are technically work days.
That's why.
Okay, I understand now, because we were adding, we were coming up with 99999, and that.
Yeah, those days count as work days, but you don't actually work them because
But
you
we're
work
actually
extra during the week for your
In the
parent-teacher
building,
conference.
179 days.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Oh, it makes absolute sense, yeah.
Yeah.
You look at
For payroll purposes, that's how it works.
We're good.
Thank you, Wes. Thank you for that clarification.
Todd, that was a lengthy discussion,
Yeah.
and it actually ended up working in your everybody's favor
Right.
last year.
It's also better for the teachers to divide
Oh,
your
it's
salary by
absolutely
181 compared to 179, your doc's less.
Sure. Oh, I agree.
Is
So if you're
there,
gone for a day, anyway.
is there any, are we good on where we start and finish?
Well, I don't.
Sorry, before I move on.
I never heard a consensus about, I think I've heard a consensus that we want to start on the 16th. And if we do that, then we've got to find 2 days somewhere.
And we took off the 20th
We
and the
took off the 20th and
21st.
21st. Okay, now what I have not heard a consensus on, and maybe I just slept through it, was what we're doing, are we having a PD day on the 5th? Or are we moving that to the start of the year?
We're moving that to the start, is what I heard.
So you're not gonna move it till the 22nd of December?
No.
Do it on a Friday before, right after break? Right before break, I mean.
That'd be useless, I mean, for teachers.
It's just parent PD is what it is, so.
I mean, at the beginning of the year is
We're gonna act like
Well,
we didn't.
What's the
You
lesson
come to
of
my
the two
Join us for PD.
Well, that's
Well, I'm just not good at getting
What'd you
friends.
say?
What's the lesser of the beginning? Just not have it there.
well, it depends on what the it depends on what the PD is.
Yeah.
That's all
Workday,
subjective.
that's different.
If it's a work,
If it's a work day, that's one thing, but if it's a PD day,
I would,
then that makes a big difference.
But
where
would
we
you
put-
rather have it at the beginning of the year or have a PD on Friday the 5th of January?
It depends on what it is.
What
If it's a work day, I would like it on that Friday. I could finish getting all my grades done.
it's March.
Right.
But if it's a PD day, then that's
we had
the question.
discussed superintendent's dialogue, making that a half PD, half work day because of that. Because,
And that's the 5th of January? Is that what you're talking about?
although I can tell you from this year, we did not have time to unpack new curriculum and go through it, so an extra day to actually plan and unpack new items, or even things we didn't get to like physically and write it down and plan. It would be beneficial to have a isolated plan day, an isolated work day, in the beginning of the school year for elementary, because we get new curriculum and then we don't get a chance to like look at it.
Nothing's coming.
Well, I know, but we haven't got it.
Next year.
Well, really, we're digesting science as we
Sure.
go, and that's not good. You know, that's not good. I know it would be beneficial to be able to sit down in our teams and in our groups to digest that stuff, or even if we did a district-wide grade level, something like that. So, in my opinion, as an elementary teacher, where I am at, I would think that 5th would be better served at the beginning of the school year, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that's not something we take back and ask people to. But, I mean, in my opinion.
You guys on this half the table have a dog in this fight or not? Does it make any real difference to you?
As a nurse, it makes a difference to me just because, especially an elementary nurse, I have, like those work days, that's all I'm doing is working. So if I'm having to just, like, have to go to 2 PD days, if you make it a PD, like it makes a difference.
Doesn't it?
Because when we're gone at PD, I'm not able to do all the 600 immunizations that I need to go through or whatever. So, like, I have to be, like, in my office. So if it's a work day, that's great, I don't have a problem with it. But
Or
if
a
I'm actually
plan
gone
day.
in 2 PD days, then that's.
But isn't your PD the same, I mean, would there actually be anything new you would need? Could you foresee them saying, oh, well, now you have to go to this day because you need to do this, or?
I wouldn't foresee Maria doing that unless she was told that she had to provide us PD.
Okay.
Brian, I will say, my group would like to discuss the 12-month when we get done with this.
Oh, yeah.
Just to make
That's
sure
our
I
next,
don't-
that's our
Just
next.
to make sure I don't miss out.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
we
she, only
definitely
if
will.
Maria was told that she had to provide us 2 PDs, otherwise.
That wouldn't make.
She would be okay with us being in our offices, yes.
Because that's to certain groups, that wouldn't make sense just to add a
Right, right.
Well, and our building PD gives us more time if it's gonna be combined with a work day, because you don't have all that travel time.
Right.
So if we were gonna do that, we'd wanna make it a building
Building.
PD day with a work day, so you don't lose that time of going between buildings or whatnot, so that would make a big difference.
Okay.
Dr. Norman, do you see any issues with moving that to the first of the year?
The only thing from my perspective is if you do PD, it's kind of nice to, if you, like for science, if you have a little bit now, you go do things in your classroom, and you can come back and have another. To me, that's the only benefit of spreading PD out. And I'm gonna throw this out to the group because we were concerned about starting school on the 1st of the year on a Monday. I don't know about you, but after Christmas break, I kind of feel the same way. That first day, it's hard to get rolling again. That there might be benefit of having that half PD, half work day, that first day we're back, just to get us going again.
And then
have kids on the 9th.
And
if
then
we
we would
have-
release on Monday, on the 21st.
If we have that concern about starting the beginning of the year on a Monday, would we not have the same concern starting second semester on a Monday?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's different, but I know for me, it's hard after a break to get back in that routine again.
Realistic.
So you could have the 22nd off and then have your PD day or your work day on the 8th, and then the kids come back on the 9th.
And then they would release on the 21st, on a Monday. I mean, we're releasing on a Tuesday this year. And if they're gonna miss, they're probably gonna miss Monday and Tuesday. I mean, really,
You
so.
guys could always give up Good Friday.
No.
Well, I mean, because you're gonna have a whole week for spring break
Yeah,
following
but,
that.
It would not
Won't
go
go over well
over
at all.
well.
Okay.
sorry.
So if you did that, you would have to still come back on the 21st if you traded the 22nd of December for the 8th of May. If you worked the 22nd of December and didn't have the kids come back till the 9th, you have to go to the 21st of May.
So we would have to trade out the 22nd, right?
Right, so you would, or you would.
Say that again to Dr. Kraus.
If you didn't go to school on the 22nd,
If you did not.
okay, so you're saying do or don't go on the 22nd?
If you did not go on the 22nd,
If you don't go to school on the 22nd, then you would have to move 3 days into second semester. Your 3rd, 4th, and 5th would be Christmas break. PD/work day, whatever the 8th, students would start on the 9th.
So then you would have to go to
You
the
would have to
21st.
go, their last day would be the 21st.
We didn't used to have that.
Having a day at
that we come back after Christmas break, before the kids come back, is also beneficial to my department, because it gives us a day to get everything ready. It's a lot.
I'm hearing a consensus.
I think that sounds.
Say that again.
I'm hearing a consensus.
Go ahead, Julie. say
I
it again.
said, a day that we can come back after Christmas break, before the kids get there, is beneficial to us.
Okay.
Because we have a lot, we could do it. you
I'm
know.
comfortable doing that as
Yeah,
long as it's
but
half a workday.
It helps, it's not,
Half
a deal
PD, half
breaker.
workday would be
It
great.
helps.
For at least instructional staff. I'm not saying to add a PD day for nurses or anyone.
Well, no, it already would, in January, you mean, or at the beginning of the year?
January.
Oh, it would be a PD day, and that's fine.
Okay, so I'm starting to hear, I think, that if we have the 8th be a half workday, half PD day, bring the kids on the 9th. If we're doing that, we're starting the kids 1, 2, 3 days later. So that would mean that the 22nd would have to be an instructional day, 22nd of December, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the 2 full weeks would be the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's Day. And that would move the end of school 3 days back, which would mean the last day for students would be the 21st. And then teacher work day, the 22nd, summer school prep day, summer school work day, the 23rd, and summer school would start the 24th.
Do we have to have the teacher work day on the 22nd? Do we have to have a teacher work day after students are gone the next day? We didn't used to do that. Usually, used to be when students were done, we were also done, unless you were teaching summer school.
Well, in terms of getting the number of contract days that you have, yes, you have to have something.
That was just a question. I mean, I'm okay with that. I don't, that was just a
Summer school
question.
wait to start until the next week instead of just having a random Thursday, one day of
Right.
summer school?
Yeah, because if we go back to a 4-day summer school,
Start on the
true.
29th.
you wouldn't want to bring the kids in for one day.
Well, we have to go a couple Fridays anyway to make up for Memorial Day.
So you start on the 29th?
Just start on the 29th.
Yeah.
4-day summer school.
I don't know what we're looking
We
at.
don't know yet, but,
Okay.
I mean, the surveys have been out, and so that's just,
Yeah,
I'm throwing it out there.
So that would be where you would
Because
start.
just in case,
Okay.
I'm always trying to think ahead.
All right, so if I prepare the calendar, let me run through this and correct me if I misspeak. We're going to move the start of school to the 16th. So that would make the PD days then be the 10th, 11th, 14th, and 15th, correct? 10, 11, 14, 15. Then the 20th, 21st, and 22nd of December become instructional days.
22nd will too.
Yes, because we, or wait.
No,
No,
was
no,
it
no, no, no.
16th
I thought we
also?
were taking away the 22nd.
Yeah, because that's how you get your
We had
3
to add
days in
that in.
January.
Well, we only moved it 2 days, but then, yeah, that's gonna mess with,
No, took those 3 in order to take the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that first week of January to start otherwise your PD day is gonna be on Friday, not Monday.
Right.
okay, but if we do that, then we need to move the start of school to the 17th.
Yes. That's how I was looking at it.
So if we, so it's
Okay.
probably
And
better
take away
not,
the 22nd still?
I
Or
think,
if we leave it the 16th, then you can keep the 22nd?
Yes.
That's what I would say.
That's what I was
Because that gives
People
people
are
a
gonna
whole
want that
extra day to
22nd,
travel.
we'll get traveling for Christmas.
Take that Friday. We want that Friday
So
off.
we- So we're then going to an 11-day off calendar.
Teachers won't wanna be
Yeah,
there.
then it'll be 11
Kids
day
won't
off.
wanna be and they won't.
Okay,
so
There you go.
22nd,
I've got to go to a function at 5:30.
is it a good function or a bad function? Okay.
I think you need the best of luck here.
We're making progress. It's a painstaking process, but we'll
It's
get it.
important enough to take this much time.
okay, so
Calendars.
start
Okay.
date is the 16th of August.
Yep, and start over
And
again.
then the 22nd would
We're
be the
off.
first day of Christmas break.
Yes.
Okay. And then the 4th and 5th
Or off.
The
are
third-
all off.
Third, fourth, and fifth are
Yes.
all off.
And then the 8th of January would be that PD slash
It's a
Work
strange
day.
hybrid of some sort.
whatever,
Yes.
whatever
Yes.
it looks like in wherever
Wherever you're at.
And then the kids come back on January 9th. And
Right.
then you're saying that the kids would then get
Last-
out on May 21st or 22nd?
21st would be their last
21st.
day.
But teachers work on the 22nd. And then we would have summer school start
Summer school
On
prep
work
day would be the 23rd,
prep day,
or
okay.
work day, whatever you want to call it. And then I think it could be up for grabs.
They can decide what
You know, it
to
doesn't
do.
matter if,
Or we can decide
They might
later.
want that one day to have the kids come to get organized, because
Yeah.
whoo, the first day of summer school?
but I mean, I don't
It's
think
just an
we need to
organization day.
decide that.
That's not
do we?
something we
To
should
start
decide right now.
That's on the
Yeah.
calendar.
Okay.
That's summer school committee.
Well, that's true, we may have snow
Well,
because,
still up.
you know, the almanac is saying record.
We have how many built-in snow days? 5 or
Six.
6. So there are 6 built-in.
I know, that's what we're saying, the almanac is saying.
We're hoping for that extra day off.
Throw the ice down the toilet.
Okay, so what,
Put it under my pillow.
I do have a couple more
all
things.
right, let me bring you back together here, folks,
Focus.
please. Okay, yes, Alyssa.
PD, there's a PD day on Veterans Day. A lot of schools do assemblies for Veterans Day on the 10th of November. Could we move a PD up to the 3rd? Because,
Dr. Norma, do you
I
see?
mean, a
any
lot of
problem?
schools do stuff during that time.
That's a very good point.
And we didn't used to have PD on Veterans Day. It was this year's the first year, and if we can move that to the first week of November, that would be beneficial.
You see
Does
a
that
problem with that?
impact, do you guys, somebody performs in a parade or something? Is that an every year thing? Is it Central's band or all of the bands?
All, the ROTCs definitely did, the bands sometimes, the ROTCs
Yes,
definitely.
and
They go
is that
down to
why
City
we went to
Hall.
having it off, so it wasn't removing all those kids
I
from
don't know
the
if that's
building?
why, but I'm sure that those teachers think it helps, but I don't know.
Does
I don't know,
anyone
I'm
have
just-
Would
a,
it be on the
I don't
11th
know
now
when
then?
I would assume it'd be on Saturday, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it
'Cause
should.
isn't it always observed on the day it actually is?
The 11th is Veterans.
But it's on a Saturday.
But schools
it's
do
that-
an assembly, so Friday would be that assembly day for Veterans Day.
anyone have a problem moving PD from the 10th to the 3rd of November?
Because we do a big one, we do a huge one.
Okay, let's consider it moved.
Okay.
What else, Alyssa?
Okay, hold on.
I hope your list is short.
Parent-teacher conferences, we can do any that week we want
Yeah,
to,
it
based on
says-
school.
It says, I think it gives specific days, but no, anytime in that 4 days, 2 days, anytime between Monday and Thursday.
Okay.
Would there be any
Would there,
objection to being consistent across the district on the days?
It makes it hard then if you're a parent and a teacher going to another building.
yeah, that's why we did that.
That's why it's been
So
kind of-
we don't do it the same days like Benton or Spring Garden does it, because they have, and then teachers can also go to their own.
Someone said that about Truman, because we're a feeder school, it was hard for them to
Yeah.
go to Parkway and Truman, because their conference times were at the same time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you find it hard with that, we get out at 3:40, by the time we get our kids gone, it's pretty close to 4.
Yeah, we don't have
And then-
any time.
Yeah, we don't either, so I don't know, are we locked into those times?
We have to, and, what school are you at?
Parkway,
Yeah, like, there's not enough time slots for our classes, so we have to do morning conferences anyway. So, our principal takes our kids and they do a big activity and that gives us some prep time. So that's an idea for that, because if we bump that back, we would be there till 8, 7:30 or
Right, yeah.
8 anyway. So that's how we deal with that. I mean, that's something we could do. Also, what about early outs the day before Christmas and the last day of school? Is that an option?
No, we did away with
I
that.
thought, well, I thought the last day of school was an early out.
And this year, so is the last day before Christmas break, like an end of semester early out and an end of year early out.
So if we could
It's only
make
2.
the 21st an early out and the 21st an early out, that would be great.
Early out and go long enough to count it as a day. you're
Yeah,
saying.
4 hours or, that's 2 early outs a year. It's better than what we used to
And
have.
it's leading into breaks before,
Yeah.
so.
And both of them are good days for early outs.
If
well,
the
then
kids,
school
So we
really
have
needs
a
on the
party.
Monday
if
with
there's an
early out.
incentive
We
for the
would
kids
probably
to
have
come
it
on
Saturday,
that
like
week.
this year we're having it on.
Well,
on the
I'm,
Because it's already a crazy day, so you might as well.
like,
It's also
my
an
thought
incentive
this
to
year
get
was
them
the
there
Monday
that
and
day.
Tuesday. If they don't come Monday, they're not gonna come Tuesday, and Tuesday's an early out. That's 2 absent days than just a 1 absent day. Cause kids are gonna miss, those last days are gonna miss.
On the early out part, can we bring that back for discussion? If we know when our last days are?
Yeah.
we can-
That was
can be-
just-
I
But
want to
you
make
have
sure.
the last day listed as an early out already on the template. the 16th, you had it listed as an early dismissal. So, okay.
Or you want to take that to, do you want to discuss that with Dr. Newhart? Is that why, because it's a Monday?
Well, yeah, and I would like to discuss it with the board members too. I think for right now, I'll be happy if we get the last day
Okay.
set. And
That's
then
fine.
if it ends at 1 or at 3 or whatever, then
I
we
think
can,
that's fair.
is that okay? All right, and
So
I also
do you have
want to
anything else?
give as much time as we can to the 12-month calendar. All right, so
Yeah, I
I am
think-
going to attempt to, tomorrow sometime, make these changes, send it out to people. The time crunch we're on, is there some odd statute that says if you're starting, I think it's more than 10 days before the 1st of September, you have to have a calendar hearing? And so that, and you have to post that for 2 weeks. So we need to post our calendar hearing by November 7th because the board meeting in November is the 21st. And so that's,
I know, this is important.
Yeah, it's a state statute.
Yeah, it's a state statute.
yeah. So that's why we're on a kind of a short time frame here.
Can I ask,
Technically, the statute says.
for registration, for, one of the questions I had from an administrator who sent to me when he looked at things was registration, he would rather see registration. He likes the 10-day off at Christmas calendar that we're looking at, but registration be the 31st through August 4th. Said July 31st is a work day for us anyway, so unless they're giving us a day off, I don't know. That shouldn't be included.
Why do you feel
Can
about
I
that?
table that for like?
Talking about registration being the
Sure,
31st through
sure.
August 4th.
Okay, that's
Yeah, that's a
started for it.
12-month calendar
Okay.
issue.
Good.
Okay, are we good on the now 11 teacher day off at Christmas calendar?
We are good.
I just had
think-
one other
Well, it might be 11 and a
question.
half,
I know like we
On this
kind of
one?
got like, yes,
Okay.
a big NO for the Good Friday. But if we gave up the Good Friday, then we could end on a Friday in May. We wouldn't have to come back on that Monday.
It will not.
There's a lot of people who church on Friday, on Good Friday. I think you'd have a,
That was one of the popular reasons for this calendar on that spring break was that Good Friday was off. You could travel for Easter. You didn't have to be back on Monday. You could spend Sunday with your family. So I don't think that would be, from who we've talked to, and I know we sent it out to a lot of people, it would not be well taken to take away Good Friday from being off.
I'd like to speak on that because he has taken so much away from 12-month secretaries. Don't take our Good Friday away. That's the only thing he gave us. One of the only things.
Okay.
You can add a day to it isn't.
All right, so
It's
are
always a no anyway.
Stop advocating to.
You've got spring break the next week, so.
All right, so I'm
I
going
know, I'm
to
supposed to be
only want
observer,
you to
right?
speak when we ask you.
make the changes on this and then I'll send it out to you tomorrow.
We're ready. I think we're good to move.
Yeah, let's
Look at the 12-month.
let's look at the 12 months calendar.
Oh, they're gonna have to make the adjustment.
Again, the spring break basically is the only difference on these, I think. Gives us a place to start from, and that's really about
And I
it.
think we also agreed with me, because we definitely want the spring break.
Okay, so spring break, first week of April. I mean, if we're gonna do that on the
Right.
teaching calendar, we pretty much have to.
And that was what they
I can't live
proposed.
without Debbie, that's for sure.
Well, and I think that makes sense because that will give you an additional couple of days. Okay, so I'm gonna put this one where it won't confuse me. And look at the one that has April 2nd and 3rd colored in for spring break. Is that what we're all looking at? Okay, Julie, you tell me some of the concerns that you.
So, mostly, and the 12-month employees were the ones that were most affected by the calendar changes last year. I know this doesn't apply to hardly anybody, but just a select group, but they lost spring break, and they lost several days at Christmas break, and, I mean, they would like to go on a spring break vacation with their family also. And I know these changes were made last year, but there was nothing really offered, put out. I've had several people tell me they would prefer to not get paid those extra 5 days and use those for a break and a little bit of Christmas, versus go to like a 255 day, is that right? Yeah, versus a 260 day. Or could we get a survey out to see if the support staff the majority of support staff would want to do that? That was one thing that was hugely brought up. The other thing that is big is the 4-day summer work week. And I don't know if that's going to apply since are we in summer?
Okay,
Yeah.
let me tell you how I understand that.
Okay.
And there's a lot of things I don't understand, so. The board has voted on a calendar and approved a calendar for this fiscal year, which goes through June 30th. So I've not heard anything from our board members that they're looking at changing anything for June of 2017. I do think they are open to the idea of hearing proposals for July of 17, which would then carry over into June of 18.
And every year after that, for 4-day work weeks in June and July, but we're tied into the
So that would have.
June for this year. We're probably not gonna make a calendar change in November or October or November of this year for June of this year. I mean, do we wish we could? But is that something that we can do? Probably not. But we wanna start this calendar, would start then for you, July. And then we wanna start with this next July, you having your June and July's 4-day weeks.
So you feel like that's an option?
Very much so.
Because
Very much
it
so.
put morale in the toilet, I
Yeah.
just have to say, for the support staff. When
and
they
poor
lost
Dr.
that,
Kraus,
I'm just being blunt.
When,
When they lost that,
when Laura and I
that
came
day,
to
it was
discuss
rough.
calendar with Dr. Kraus, we just jumped on him about that right away.
Figuratively speaking.
Yes. We just had claws out.
I mean, and that would
Like-
cost the district absolutely nothing, and that would be a huge morale boost. So that would be wonderful.
But
So the
this
answer to
June,
your-
we're stuck. Do you
But,
understand
okay,
that? This
yes.
June, that
not gonna
calendar's
happen.
done. It's so late. It
So
would
it's the
mess up
fiscal year, and
the
I
whole
get
fiscal
your
year.
fiscal year.
But
It's
really,
5-day work week, right?
In June.
This June of, well, this coming June of 2017 is a 5-day work.
so I
The
do
clerical
agree
stuff's
with,
always done that, 5 days, correct? Like,
No, secretary,
no,
no.
this is the first year.
We've always
They've always done
had
4, and this year they changed.
June, but I understand fiscal year, I get that, and I can.
I do think, I like your idea of the survey though, because I think that would give
An opinion.
all of us to have a good number of what people are really wanting to do.
And I just kind of took an average, and I just threw a number out there as kind of what I thought like a middle of the road range on that, and divided it out, and it comes out to about $70-some a month if you go if they work 5 days less. So I know for some people that's a lot, and for some people it's like no big deal. So everybody's different on that range. That's why I suggested a survey to see what the majority of people would like. But I can tell you, they're devastated about spring break and Christmas break because it is, and truly there's nothing for them to do. We're really, the board needs to know we're going to be paying people to sit there.
Oh, some of us.
And the utilities, we're paying for utilities, we're paying for staff to sit there. And a lot of people, I can't say everybody, a lot of people would be willing, from what they told me, to take 5 days less of pay. So, that's what I've got.
Do we have time for a survey and get this posted?
Not today.
Is there any way?
I mean,
Yeah,
to
well,
get this posted, I mean, and to fall into where we can approve it in November.
well, I think what we have to do would be come up with a framework where we have two options. Look at a 255 calendar and a 260 calendar.
Would it be the-
And then,
What would be the cost of restoring those days like they were before the 5 days? I mean, could we get a cost estimate on that?
How much did we save? by
Yeah, how much should we save by doing that?
You're like stupid.
I mean, is there a way to get a
Everybody's
cost?
looking at me.
Now, time to speak, Wes. Yeah. What would be the cost, what would be the cost of restoring the days that they lost?
For the
Ideally,
secretaries
well,
only,
it would
not the
be- well,
pairs.
No, it would be 12 months.
12-month people, I'm sorry.
12-month people, 12-month people.
How many people fall under?
Then we could have some
It didn't
information.
cost us anything, it didn't save us anything. What we gained was work days.
But they're not doing anything, she just
Right.
said. So
Now, you can't,
That's not true,
I'm
Bill.
sorry, I have to disagree with that.
You're in your department, I'm sure you're doing.
Our people
In
were doing
some, right.
I mean, you can't say across the district that they don't do anything. I mean, maintenance, I'm sure, has always got things to do. I mean, they're the biggest group.
10.5.
At the school.
What about the 10.5 secretarial?
They don't even.
They don't-
It doesn't apply to them.
This is just
It only applies to the 12-month employees, which there's only a handful of
I know.
12-month secretaries.
There, that's the key too.
It's just a handful, I mean, there's not very many of those. I mean, then it's,
So
and then
if
there's
we
the
didn't
12-month
use that
employees
much
at
money-
maintenance, 12-month employees district, you know.
So it'd be good to have that number for that handful of people.
Well, and the thing is,
Maybe we could pay them that
what
much.
she's saying is true. They would as soon take the day off without pay.
Well, how
I would
about,
think that would be something we could allow if it was approved through the supervisor.
well, how about
We
if
wouldn't have to do it across the district. Anybody could take off a day without pay.
Why don't we-
as
we
long
could
as it's-
raise their salary corresponding amount, and then if they did decide to take that time off, it wouldn't dock their pay. If it didn't amount to
If it
that
was only a
much,
handful
so,
of people.
just, yeah, just a handful of
I don't think
people.
they wanna take their vacation and their PTO, they want their vacation,
They
their
don't,
PTO, and to
exactly.
have the days
Right.
off, and that's.
Well, we want to
I mean,
use our
that's a
vacation days
lot.
when we want to.
a lot of money.
Not
But that's a lot of
for-
time.
Yeah. You don't want somebody telling you that you have to use these days for vacation.
For vacation, yeah.
I think I made that point.
Yes.
Yeah, but if we do the number, if we could raise their salaries a corresponding and offsetting amount, then if they decided they did want to take those days off, it could offset that loss. They would maintain, it would be a paperwork or a bookkeeping entry. At the same time, if they wanted to work, if they.
Work. You're
Yeah.
gonna support my staff even more.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that they would work for free.
Well, I
We should
mean,
just-
well, no, they're not working free, but I mean, there's always an option, and it would need to be approved through HR to take off a day without pay if they wanted to truly be off. But it would have to be approved, so that way they weren't disciplinary.
But when you mean take off without pay, do you mean like PTO?
No,
Just take a day off without pay, just like a teacher, if they're gone, they get docked for a day, it'd be the same
And
instance.
then the people that
losing
want to
money,
take it
though.
off, then people that don't want, but she's saying there's people that don't care.
Yeah,
That
that's what
really we
she's
could
saying, that's
pay
what-
'em.
Well,
Right.
I don't think that that's fair, that we should,
Right.
just for this handful of people.
That's right.
I do not believe that the savings outweighs the
Letting them
morale
have
Amen.
fun.
of those
There you go.
Amen.
And if
That's
it's
right.
just a handful of people, let's take care of those handful of
There you
people.
go.
Yeah, and I wasn't aware it was just a handful of people.
And it really is, and that's what's
Well,
sad.
I did have probably 20 people.
Well, what is really
15
frustrating
with that.
School secretaries, did they get spring break?
They're 10 and a half.
Yes.
They
Right,
do
so
get-
did they get spring break?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
The 10,
This is
11
high
month,
school
you know.
secretary.
Yeah, there's a handful of high school
I-
secretaries, it'd be TMC,
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 maintenance.
Career Technical Center, Food Nutrition Secretary, it's the
Yeah.
secretaries here at the admin building.
Yeah, everybody at admin
And-
works those
yeah.
days.
Yes.
Right, I knew that.
And
So,
your
like I
maintenance
said,
staff.
there's not as many,
Your high school principals.
yeah.
High school principals.
See, speaking from a selfish point of view, I would hate to have my staff gone at that time. That's prime time hiring. We're crazy busy then. I need them in there. No, I'm not talking about
No,
Christmas, spring break.
sorry.
July.
Spring break.
Spring
I'm
break,
talking
spring
about.
break,
Yeah. I mean, that would be one of the worst times to have my staff gone.
Let's see, that's just like my staff, for example. Summertime for us is the worst time to be off. Because that's our busiest time of the year. We're closing out the year, we're starting the new year, we've got all these orders that we're doing. I mean, there's a lot of stuff behind it,
But
just for
yours aren't
mine.
gonna necessarily be off, they're gonna go to 10-hour workdays, so they're gonna work the hours, they're just not gonna work on Friday, but they're gonna get the
They're
hours.
gonna
And then
work
now that we
Saturdays and
have that-
Sundays and Fridays, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
And
I
now
mean,
that we
work-
have that clock in, clock out, see, we can make sure they work those 10 or 9.75 or whatever hours.
The 4-day work weeks don't benefit my office at all in the summer, because we work 50, 60 hours a week in the summer.
So are you saying like the build, besides the admin, the other secretaries, that was what they would like?
The high school secretaries for certain. I heard from all of them, I think.
And then
Heard from every
nutrition, right?
Nutrition,
And maintenance.
TMC,
And Hilliard's.
TMC.
You don't wanna do it, you don't wanna not get paid, that's gonna really hurt. I mean,
No,
it's
Should be able to
It's
roll
not
it back.
that
You guys
into
are already
there.
underpaid.
Right.
Because
That
they
is
didn't
true.
get a
It's gonna make it
raise,
worse.
they just got more work
For the
days.
22nd of November, I mean, that's already a day, he's giving us unpaid.
Well, that's always been there. That's not something new. There's always been 1 or 2 days that
Right.
district-wide, we're not, depends on leap year. Leap year, there's 2.
Right.
Because everything's based on a 260-day work week, or, excuse me, calendar year, and there's 261 days. In leap year, there's 262. So last year, there were 2.
Right, and like most people come and agree with that contract. What happened last year for this school year was, what everyone had agreed upon when they became employed got obliterated and changed, and you know, those times that weren't, and we've discussed the fact that you work that job because of the benefits, which is the calendar and your insurance, and that's why you take that low pay, and, I don't know, we had that discussion.
I just think that I don't like to have a very small few people in a building, in one of the schools. It's not, for me, it's not worth turning on all the lights and the heat and all of that, and having them come in and just sit there, and I said this last year, I don't want to pay somebody to play solitaire at work, at school. I would
Because
rather
the
just.
rationale last year was to answer phones and to do some, what?
They don't ring.
Well, I
The
mean,
phones don't ring.
And high school secretaries take care of the students and the
It's like
administration.
turning on the sprinklers
Yeah,
system on
basically,
that watering.
shipping to administration.
No one's
calling.
What?
Turning on the
Oh, no, it's a waste of everybody's time. I would rather
Something
pay
else I
them to
wanted
be
to
at
point
home.
out, I mean, I worked in HR before, and you're right. Spring break is a great time for HR to be there, to do the interviews and get stuff going, especially with even benefit enrollment, all that stuff, and I get that. And now that I'm on the other side, I'm like in nutrition services as their office manager, my entire staff's gone spring break. I'll be the only one there. I won't have kitchen staff to help. I won't have anything to do. I'll be the only one working in spring break. I won't have anything to do. So that's why, I mean, there's different.
But you have PTO and vacation days you could take.
I don't want to use my PTO
I'm just saying
vacation
it's
days for
there
spring
and
break.
and we're in control of that.
It sounds like
I
to
know,
me.
but I have other times I want
Yeah.
to take my vacation.
I agree. I'm just saying it is there.
But it's not
From what
fair.
I am hearing, from what you're saying, it sounds like we almost need to separate downtown
Right.
staff
Yes.
from building
Building
staff.
staff.
Downtown
Because
staff needs to have a calendar.
A 12-month.
Building staff needs to have a calendar. I
Based
know,
on
I
need.
realize that adds another thing to your plate, but it sounds like that's where the disconnect is. The buildings
But I don't know that the
versus.
secretaries downtown are gonna be any happier with working spring break than the secretaries in
But
the
that's
building
when
are
they're
gonna be any
busy
happier.
though, here.
Well,
'Cause of
in
hiring.
one department. And we have how many departments in this building? Do you see what I'm saying? I just feel like it needs to be, there's one sitting right over there.
I don't think you want more division.
I don't think we want to create a whole nother calendar. We have to come to consensus.
And that was something that was mentioned, is why can't we just have the same calendar as,
Would they
you
be
know,
willing to go
teachers?
to an 11-month calendar? Building secretaries go to 11 months instead of 12 months?
and then you
Take a
lose your
pay cut,
benefits?
big pay
would
cut.
take That's the money.
Cut because of the, because it
Yep.
was 260 day.
It'd be good to know what this is gonna cost. I mean, you know, to float that out there.
And how many there are, because yeah,
Right.
I didn't know high school secretaries were 12 months, because I am in elementary, so I know mine
Right.
works 10 and a half, so I,
Not all of them, but just
Okay.
I
I'd
could,
go off
I
the
could
top
tell
of
you,
my
but I don't have the
head.
numbers in
Lafayette,
front of me.
there's 3, Central, I think there's 4.
okay,
And that includes the bookkeeper.
Yeah.
okay.
So, I mean, we're talking about maybe,
There's 2 at Benton,
yeah, okay.
there's 4 at Hilliard, there's 2 at TMC.
Well, but Hilliard's has classes all year round. That's why they're there all year round.
Exactly.
I mean, their classes don't run the same schedule.
And then there.
So is there,
Everybody.
what would a calendar look like if those 5 days that are in question? Well, let me back up to solidify one other thing. To me, it made sense to make one of the paid holidays be the 3rd of July. Was there anybody have any issue with that?
No.
Okay. And then to me, the 27th, 28th, 29th of December made sense. Okay. So it's the spring break issue and the remainder of Christmas that we're talking about. Okay. If we were to, I guess I'm a little hesitant to give, I mean, people always have the option to say, I'm going to take a day without pay, if their reason for absence doesn't fit any PTO requirement. You know, I think Roy made a good point there, that there are, at least at this point in time, who knows what PTO will look like. That would be one of the things we talk about. Right now, there are 3 days that could be used to extend your spring break or take that second week of Christmas.
But could that be could we be told no by, because if we have to turn that in?
Theoretically, you could be told no, but why, would-
By our
if
principal
you're,
or-
in theory, you're not doing anything, why would they say, no, you have
I
to?
think not, but
Why aren't they on
There's
the
always
same
an appeal
calendar?
process too.
Why aren't they on what?
Why aren't they all on the same calendar? I
All
mean,
260
used to
people
be.
are on the same.
I mean, I'm talking about when you look at when the kids are gone and you're gone for Christmas break, why is downtown?
Because then they
open?
wouldn't be a 260 calendar. They'd be a 255 calendar.
See, it cuts their work, and it'll cut their pay. So you have to, yeah. The big picture is, yeah, you want to keep your 12-month if you want to keep your pay.
Yeah. Now, go ahead and get your fruit ready to throw if you want. Coming from a different district and a different state as well, I couldn't believe that you guys had 23 paid holidays at some point. That is unbelievable. Where I came, we had 12. 18 is very generous in my mind.
Coming out of private enterprise from 35 some odd years, even with the cutbacks, I still have way more vacation in this environment as well as the vacation in PTO than I ever had before. That's just perspective there. And I just as soon have that control, whether it be unpaid day or PTO or vacation to use to fill in those days. I mean, the reality is we're probably not going to get these back that we had my first year in the chute here in the district. It was really great, but I knew it was coming. But personally, I just soon have that control and let me make the decision of whether I'm going to take unpaid and reduce my salary or use my PTO or vacation days to fill in those gaps and make that full week. Because that's personal family travel plans. They vary from year to year. So I may want to go on a long weekend or I may want to go on a full week's vacation and parallel to what's going on in the school district and with the teacher's calendar. But who's to say?
Our support staff is very low, traditionally low on the lower end, and that's how we attracted quality people was an electrician may give up that contract with a really good company to work for the school district because he gets more time off. He likes to play sports with his kids
Or they get the same calendar as their children.
It's attractive to people that we want around kids.
I would like to propose that we take a 5-minute caucus time. I'd like to visit with the two board members. Is that okay with people? Wes, you want to come in also? 5 minutes? We'll go in there.
And they will plot their overthrow.
Let's go ahead and pull back together here. I think that the consensus from our caucus in there was that we'd like to give the people the opportunity that are our 260 contracts, if they would like to go to 221, they could do that. And then they would have the entire month of July. They would lose their vacation, but they would have the same days off that is on the school calendar. Okay, so they would have the same, they would then follow the calendar that we just talked about for the teachers and the students. That would be an option. Another option would be that if they would like to take unpaid days, those could be used. And the third option would be that if they use the PTO or their vacation during those times. What we figured out is if somebody's been here a sufficient number of years, they could have up to 20 vacation days, 18 paid holidays, and 14 PTO days. That's 52 days.
That's a lot.
That's a
10
third
weeks.
of a year.
Pretty close.
We can't give them 5 more days on top of a third of a year.
But they have to be here 17 years plus to get that.
We have a lot.
What is the average, length of time somebody in this position has been here? Do you know off the top of your head? I'm just wondering, what does the average person get? How many vacation
Well,
days and how many
they
PTO
start
days?
with 10, so it would be either
10 vacation and 10 PTO?
No, anybody that's in a 12-month position has 14 PTO.
14 PTO, 10 vacation days.
So that's 24, so that's almost 5 weeks every year that they
18
get?
holidays, 10 vacation days at minimum, and 14 PTO days.
If they choose to use the PTO.
Yeah, if they choose to use them.
Yes,
24 days.
So see, that's
PTO
a,
days.
That's a lot.
they could use PTO or they could choose to
Sorry.
do without pay and keep this 260 calendar. But to add 5 extra days onto what we just named in order to have them work the school calendar, I mean, that's a lot of days, people. That's a lot of days.
But I guess my question would be is if they used PTO days,
No.
or if they wanted to use unpaid days, would they get told by that's blackout day,
The
and you cannot use that.
restricted-
That's my main
And
concern, they'll ask.
let me straighten something out with the PTO days.
Okay.
The PTO days will still have to be used as they're designated.
Okay,
For this particular year, 3 of them, if they haven't used any personal days, could be used for that.
okay,
But the others would not, it would not fit under any of the other.
gotcha.
So their supervisor, if they use one of the other ones, could not tell them no. Correct?
Could not, say that again without
Well,
the double
they
negative.
could if they've used their 3 vacation, I mean, their
If
3
they-
days that are,
Their 3 personal
yeah,
discretion.
then they'd have to take it as a day without pay, but could the, I think
Well,
she's
they
saying,
could
could the
use vacation.
supervisor say, no, you can't take that day without pay?
That's exactly what I want.
That's what,
There's that chance.
You basically have 13 days at your
I
disposal.
mean, we'd have to
Have an appeal
educate our
process.
Upfront.
supervisors.
Yeah.
If they tell you no, you have an appeal process.
Right.
And the blackout days don't pertain to 12 hours.
Right.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
They are not
Because
supposed
they
to.
have vacation, so
Yeah.
I was
vacation.
not aware of that. so
That,
Yeah.
they're not supposed, when we negotiated, they weren't supposed to.
but
So
I
so
don't
you
think
basically
they'll
can
know
take
that
those 3 and build them out, build a week out, but you've only got 2 off. Plus take 2 weeks of vacation.
Okay, so refocusing here, I know we're
Apply to them.
going along, but let's persevere just a little longer if we can. If any of you have to leave, just I do want to, before we go, give you a brief synopsis of those handouts that I have. Okay, so Julie, take that back to your group.
Okay, those 3 options,
Yeah,
okay.
and then if there's anything else that you want to meet, I would encourage any of you who want to meet with your groups in between months, please feel free to do that. I would love to attend if you would like me to. If you don't, that's fine too. But I'd like to know what's going on with your groups as well. And then, so I have an idea of where we're headed and what you guys are thinking about.
Dr. Kraus,
Yes.
on the 12 months, from the directors, the flex schedule in July is a concern. They would prefer if we go to a 4-day work week, that it be a 4-day work week and not, so that all of their employees would be working the same 4 days.
I think I've heard from the board members, at least 2 of them, that is the direction they would like to go for July, is to do a 4-day work week. Now, with the caveat, as I understand this past July, people worked 4 9s if you were a 37.5-hour employee. Is that correct?
And maintenance did also.
And maintenance did also, but I think if I heard these 2 correctly, it would be that you would still work your 37.5, not 36, and if it's a maintenance person who will, that'll be a separate negotiations, but they would be expected to work 4 10s. And so you'd still have your 4 days, but you'd still be, because really they were paying you for hours you weren't working. And so they're leaning toward the 4-day week, but still working your total hours. All right? Okay.
And then realize that that'll be just for July, starting in July. June, we're stuck with 5 days, but then after that, that would be our intent, is to just continue with 4-day work weeks in June and July.
So in 2018, it would be a full summer of,
4-day work weeks
Yeah.
again.
and that's,
And you're still working them hours. You can
it's all
still
right.
get your work in.
From a morale standpoint and so forth, that's still an incentive and a really nice thing to have
that's
those
as-
3-day weekends.
That's as fast as we can get it, is
Well,
the
that's
summer of the
okay.
18th. Otherwise, we would do it faster, but.
We can do July of 17.
Yeah, but he's talking about a full summer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Full summer.
Okay. Anything else on that 2-6 calendar? So Julie, let me know if your folks are going to get together. I'd be glad to come if they would like that. All right, real quickly, I'd like to get us out of here 2 minutes ago, but look at the 2 sheets if you would. One, they were over there if nobody got them. One says additional costs and then the color-coded spreadsheet. I want this to be our primary item next month. We don't meet again for 5 weeks, so please take that time in between there to be talking to your constituents. Like I said, any of your groups that are going to get together, I would be more than happy to come and try to answer questions, or at least just to sit in and learn what the concerns are of each of your groups. So unless you think it will cause a decrease in attendance, I would love to be invited to those if you have them. On the additional costs, and it won't hurt my feelings if you think it will, decrease your attendance. The additional cost worksheet, the narrative, let's look at them both together. I color-coded the spreadsheet like things are together. If you'll notice at the bottom right-hand corner, there's a really, really big number down there. Okay? This is a list of all the things that I sent out to the directors, to the principals, had you guys send things to me. What do you want that would cost additional money? And I tried, with Wes's help, Wes did 98% of the work, to get numbers that accurately reflect as best as we can guess what these things would cost. Now, that number is inflated because, like the 3 yellow items, for instance, at the top, and I just pulled these things out of the air. I looked at increase to the teacher base of 800 plus a step, increase to the base of 300 plus a step, and just a step. Doesn't mean we have to use one of those 3 or any of those 3. It could be something totally different, but those were just to give some estimates of what things would cost. Well, I'm assuming we won't do all 3 of those, so at least 2 of those would drop off, and so there at least $2 million is going to drop off of that total. Same thing for the green. The same raise that for the classified staff as it got last year was about $1.1 million, and then just a step's about $515,000.
That's supposed to say same raise plus step.
Plus step, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it should say in the green, the first one, same raise for classified as last year plus step.
Yeah. I'm
Because
sorry.
that's what we did last year.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, on that first light green line, right, plus step at the end of it. So, you know, most likely we're not going to do both of those, so at least $500,000 will drop off there. The blue applied to administration. One is step, one is to increase the base to $36,000 and the step. At least one of those will drop off. You know, so we're still going to be at a big number, probably somewhere in the $6 to $7 million range. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any way we can get elementary instructional coaches added back on just to see what that would cost, and then a cost for secondary? Separate them out, please.
For what?
Did you send that in as a
Coaches.
request?
You didn't.
Did you guys get an opportunity to do requests?
I don't recall that.
680.
That doesn't mean it won't happen.
I can easily add it.
But we would like a slot for elementary instructional coaches and a slot for
680.
secondary instructional coaches.
Hey, that number, I went through that
Is
number
that
every
just
time.
elementary?
No, that's all the instructional
We
coaches
want
we
an
cut last
elementary
year.
cost and a secondary cost,
Okay, we can break it down.
because there's some difference in how they're,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
And then some of these have numbers on them and others don't, like how many, how many are in each cat. Some of these down there have it, others don't, like it says increase how many teachers, how many administrators, and
I
that way
think
you
that
can.
goes maybe with that one document we got.
What-
Teachers one. that
Give
was-
me an example, Todd. of-
Well, like for instance, increase a base to $800 plus step. Well, how many teachers are we talking about?
870.
All of them.
Okay, and then increase administrative base at 36,000 plus step. How many? Is it
There
gonna,
was 86.
86?
Because their base isn't to 36.
Numbers I'm prepared for already.
What was their base right now?
Their base right now is 34 something, right?
34,986.
Yeah,
Yeah,
34.
it didn't get changed when the teacher base changed last year. How many teachers?
And
was
how
it
many
last
teachers
year?
again?
870.
No, that's 87 administrators, how many teachers?
870.
870.
I'm sorry.
870, and then 86 administrators into that, derive that number.
And there's 32 Hilliards.
Okay. So everything that was sent to me, I put on here. And I left a little column there in the center, it says priority. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, as it says in the letter there. I want you to talk with your groups and then put in there a priority rating of 1, 2, or 3. 1 means, yes, this is a top priority, we really have to do this. 2 is, this would be nice if we can afford it. 3 is, this is okay, but it's not a high priority. It's a low priority, the lowest priority.
Can I ask you a quick question? I assume it
Absolutely.
came from Mike. Why he's only asking for a half music and a half PE, but then a full extra elementary art? Do you know?
Because I didn't get, on the 1.0 elementary, it's about 4 below the last blue one. It says 1.0 elementary art, and then in Oak Grove in parentheses. That actually is a .5.
It's the same as the PE.
It's a .5 for Oak Grove and a .5, I think it was split between Humboldt and
Sounds right.
everybody.
Because we're asking for half art, half music, half PE,
Right.
right, at Oak Grove, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a
Numbers are so
boo-boo
high.
by me.
That's okay.
Would it be okay We're talking about creating a survey to send out to teachers
Oh,
that
absolutely.
ranks this, because that would be, because our group is so large.
Sure, yeah, however you wanna assess
I
your.
mean, we could essentially, one could be created and sent out to everybody.
And when our groups, when we have our salary studies, our compensation studies, and what we found is the master's level column is traditionally low in our district.
And that number's not on here.
And that number's not on here. In other words, to increase that particular column,
It's on here. It's
It is?
under, hold on.
No, it isn't.
Going across the salary schedule.
No, he's talking about just the
Just
masters.
masters.
Oh.
Because it's under.
Todd,
Well, that would be
what I
under.
did, guys, for the I just took the current salary schedule.
right.
Plugged the number into the base, the indexing's still there, and that's where I left it.
We
We didn't touch the masters.
Well, that's where we were
We
looking
would
at.
like that
Right,
touched.
because
So
for
what-
long-term, yeah. that's-
What do you want us to do with that, I guess?
Where is it at right now?
We'll get you a combined number with MSTA and A on our.
Let me know what you want, and I'll adjust the schedule
Okay.
for the base.
Like what percent?
And so we're looking at a percent, because we always did it on 95% of a starting teacher salary in Kansas City as a cumulative group. We'd like to do it on a 95% of the master's column, and we'll get you that number off of our.
You get to me, and I can give you a calculation.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
How that'll affect everybody above a master's.
Right, okay.
Brian, is there a way to, could we maybe redo this? I think one of the thoughts from the administrative group is we are all on the same team. And if we talk about steps, shouldn't we, as SJSD United, talk about steps for everybody? And then the raises for the base, for the teacher salary and the support staff and the raises for them. I think we all recognize we want to do things for that. But I think if we talk about just steps, would it be important for every employee to get a step? Yes.
Yes.
Well, but it's separate. It's steps for teachers if that's all we're gonna do, steps for administrator if that's all we're gonna do, step for classified if that's all we're gonna do.
What I'm
Here is
saying.
a plus step for classified, plus step for teachers, plus step for administrators. So there is the same thing.
Right, but I'm saying if that's a priority, if it was steps for all employees.
I think it's because that's the biggest gap. I know I'm not supposed to talk, but that's kind of the group that has always been, when we've been increasing pay for the base and increasing at the top, the people that have gotten their masters and that have been here 10 to 15 to 17, 18 years are the ones who see like a $3 increase in their paycheck.
And paras aren't, they're also, we need to look at the compensation study, and we were promised to do that to address, according to compensation studies, there were some groups that were really low in comparison, and so we would like to see them brought up.
Absolutely.
I believe paras was another group that was low by a percentage, and so that would be another group.
Absolutely.
Once we have them closer to that, yeah, step for all would be great. But we have to address the holes too, and that's what we were promised.
There's a $16,000 gap from if I taught in Platte City right now, which I know you're thinking, why don't you go teach there? But there's a $16,000 gap from what I make here and what I would make in Platte City right now.
Well, I think you look at the masters, what did Career Ladder do to?
Oh,
No,
don't get $5,000.
That was why you got your masters, a lot of it. I mean, you got it for.
5K in 1 year.
Yeah.
And for
So
Mary,
that's
it's
part of it
10,000.
too.
Right.
But we do want to get to that spot.
Right.
We just need to look at use some of the information we paid for that compensation study and address those.
Well, in the past, it was played off as there was an antagonistic relationship.
Right.
But teachers took it on the nose on this. You know, and I'm sure you've heard that. We have to somehow get it so the teachers are comparatively back up where they should be.
Along with paras and support.
Right, and, you know, the paras are on poverty wages.
Pam, what did you want to say?
I just wanted to
You're gonna hire and
mention too
retain,
that,
right.
I understand that about the teachers with being in the hole there, with those holes.
Yeah, 'cause we have to
needing
pay
be
back
looked
those
at.
loans.
But I also want to look at the director level pay increase for those 5 directors. Those really need to be looked at. My director's one of them. She's on her 2nd year and she's very much underpaid as a director, and was not given any increase.
I think that's on here for you to rank, so then rank that as a number 1, if you think that that's a priority.
Well,
Put it number 1 next to it.
But you can see the problem, there'll be one person ranking it as one.
Hopefully not, hopefully not.
I know, you're right.
Hopefully we're gonna be
Realistically speaking.
That's exactly the deal. You know, the concept of United SJSD is that first word. Okay,
Right.
so
It needs to be
if I'm looking only at things that apply to directors, I'm not doing my job.
Right.
If you guys looking only at things that
Right.
apply to
Apply to
teachers, you're not doing
teachers.
yours.
Right, and that's why I said that. It's for all.
And in our meeting yesterday, I said that exact same thing to Dr. Kraus. I said, I sure hope when we're all sitting around the table, that when certified marks classify, or same grades as last year plus a step, that they also do something equally as right for our directors, equally as right for our teachers, equally as right for our administrators. You know, because everybody's number ones should include that for everybody. You know what do you see what I'm saying?
And that's why I
Well,
said
what we did in
I
the past,
said.
Tammy, was we indexed. And once we put teachers in that inferior position pay-wise, then our former associate superintendent personnel indexed teachers to administrators. So when we were attempting to push the teachers up, well,
I
guess who
understand.
ratcheted it right up?
And
so
that's why we
somehow
have a huge gap.
Disproportionately.
It's, yes, exactly
Right.
right. But my point was just
No,
saying,
I
don't just think
understand.
about your group.
Sure.
Make sure
No, of
you've
course.
added
Look at
something in
everyone.
that with everyone that's on this list.
I understand, but there are 50 plus items on this list. If you send this out to staff, they're gonna look at it and be like, I'm not doing that, that's too much stuff. Because by the time you get to number 27, you're gonna forget even,
And nobody's saying you have to send it out to staff. I would like you, since you are the chosen ones,
Okay.
I would like for you to take the time to look through it and.
And that's why I would discourage sending it out, like even as a, what were we calling it? Survey or whatever. I would get your group together, regardless of how large your group is, teacher group and secretaries or whatever, and discuss this out loud and kind of come up with, without.
You might lift some things out of
Have
this
an
and take it to
MSU
your
meeting,
group that's
M&EA
pertinent.
meeting.
Well, we all have
Well, how
our
much
meeting.
money are we talking about here, Dr. Krause?
Yeah, how much is in the pot?
How much is in this?
Don't forget what our budget is right now, and we have no additional revenue coming in.
Right.
So
Right.
don't forget that piece.
So we're borrowing whatever we spend.
Whatever we spend is gonna directly affect our fund balance, which is continually going down.
Right.
Well, and one of the first philosophical things that you'll have to decide with your group is, are we gonna increase staff? Is that our priority, or is our
Or enrich
priority
staff.
to better compensate the staff that we have here? If you add, $1 million in new staff, then that's not gonna leave much to give for raises to the
Right.
existing staff. So there again, it's a philosophical deal. Do we want, Dr. Norman did a lot of work to put together a spreadsheet that showed how many teachers we'd have to add at the elementary to get to desirable standard by DESI. 26 teachers cost a lot of money, plus I'm not sure where we would put them. So that's what you have to talk through with your groups. Do we want to work on compensating our current employees better, or do we see the need to add, lots of people said we need more counselors, more social workers. I don't doubt that for a second. Those people are going to expect to be paid, I'm guessing. So, if you take that money for new staff, then it's less to flow into.
I mean, just generally speaking, are we talking 6 million, 6.5? What are we?
Oh, I don't think we're talking anywhere near that.
What, to add? No.
So you take these numbers here, what are we looking at? I mean,
We have a $27 million fund balance
Right.
currently, okay? This year, we're gonna deficit anywhere from 2 to 4 million, depending on the
2 to
cost of
4.
utility.
Okay, 2 to 4.
Okay.
Okay. That's
So
good.
if you add $7 million to that 2 to 4, that's 10 million.
Right.
Okay, so that's gonna take your fund balance at the end of next year down to about 12 to 15 million. And then, the thing is, it doesn't stop there. The next year, you're down to 5 million.
Oh, I get it.
And then
So-
you're in bankruptcy.
So you're talking 2 million. 2 million
two or
total
three.
off this list.
I'd say 2 or 3.
2 to 3.
2 to 3 on this, that's total on the whole
And one
shopping.
thing I would point out too, especially maybe to this group or whatever, the additional days for the paras and the additional days for the librarians are also listed in this. There was the discussion at the beginning of the year where those people didn't get to start working when the teacher started working, so those numbers too, you have to consider right above the step for administrators in blue is your additional days for pairs, 1 through 7, if you think they only need 1, but if you think they need all 7. And your librarians at the elementary level are somewhere in this list too. Additional days for library facilitators, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nope. Nine up from the bottom. So, if that's important to your group, to get those days back for those people, that's in the pot of money too.
There's a couple of
I just
things
wanna
on
point
here
that
I'm not sure why are on here because they're like the projected cost of PTO buyback for retirees. That's a part of policy currently.
Yeah, but
It's
it's
also
in
an
a cost.
expense.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to do that, but that comes at a price. Every person who retires that has their 100 days in the bank, they're gonna be going home with $10,000.
Right.
So that's an automatic, I guess.
That's money, that money has to come from somewhere, that's an operational fund. So yeah, that still has to be taken into
Well,
account.
and then,
So it's automatically a 1.
right,
Well,
I mean,
yeah, I mean-
some
By
of these
default.
things have to happen, they're not
Right.
really optional, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand
Like
that.
horizontal movement, well, once you go, get a
So
mask.
those become 1s. So then you add
Right.
up all your 1s.
So I
and then
feel
that's
like-
It
where
would be
you
good
end
to
up
mark
with.
those
Well,
separately.
We need to have a list of things that currently have to happen and the things that are optional, maybe would make
Okay.
this better.
The reason I put those on there, Alyssa, was just that they
So we
do
can-
affect the
yes.
bottom.
Oh, yeah, I agree, but it made it feel like they're currently optional.
If you would even color code them as red.
Yeah,
You would
red
know
or-
those are given, are going to happen, I think would help
Okay.
Yeah,
kind of.
anything
Yeah.
that is in policy or has to happen, because Dr. Newhart has always said he doesn't want to freeze a step, so.
It's silly to go
step.
through and rank
I don't
something
like
that's
to-
gonna be a 4.
Financially, I don't
Right,
know
and
what
that's
shape
hard.
we're in. I don't like the free steps because then you have
It's
issues.
hard
of-
to track.
Back in 2002,
Plus
when
it
they
affects
froze
you
the
the rest
step
of
and they
your
caught
life.
everybody.
Retirement has affected people, yeah.
So if we could get, like, everybody gets a step color coded in red.
You'll never get a vote on
Things that should automatically happen color coded in red, and then the rest of it, so we can kind of see what might be an optional thing and what might not be. So like the PTO days, steps, not increases to the base, those are the optionals, but steps. We've
So you're
said we-
even saying the step for teacher, step for administrator,
Yeah.
and step for certified,
Yeah.
or classified,
Because
just
we had
make those
said,
in
Dr.
red.
Newhart
Yeah.
had said, and we had said, we
There's
want to be
percentage
done
beyond
freezing
step that counts,
steps.
Yeah, amen.
Can I just say something about that just from being at Oak Grove, just so you guys know what's going on in Oak Grove, and why they're asking for
There's a
that
lot of
half-time
kids.
teachers. We have a ton of kids, and since we went through 4 sessions of K through 2, those teachers currently divide up those kids, and since there's only 3, and so, let's put
hard.
it this way, first grade has in those specials over 30 kids.
Yeah.
And that's
We've
not
had-
very conducive to, so I'm just letting you know that that's why we're asking, and it's only gonna get worse because we're only growing.
Yes.
So, it's kind of, that's why I just wanted to throw my 2 cents out.
I hadn't checked that out.
Okay.
I knew what was going on.
I'll make the changes to these that we talked about. Does everyone feel like you understand this enough to be at least semi-dangerous?
Yes.
And do you understand how important it is to
Well,
meet
I don't know
with
what
your
this is.
No, I'm gonna go to a
I will,
microphone.
I'll make the changes,
up.
try and get these to you.
And then Dr. Cross, do you want to point out the insurance costs down there at the bottom?
Yes.
Zero. Yeah, that's great.
But that's only for half the year.
Caveat.
Very, very bottom line there, insurance costs in red, you see 1/117 to 6/30/17. That's a 0. Who knows we'll have more information by January. We're looking at self-funding. Self-funding in theory is to save you money. So, it's possible that there will be no increase, but it's also possible, a lot of districts are looking at 10, 12, 14% increases in their health insurance costs. So, and that would be a huge number if we see that. Okay. Now, the only other thing I want to do before we go, I can real quickly talk about pairs as subs, class sponsor compensations, expectations, those next 4 or 5 things. We can get it done in 10 minutes if you want to listen, or we can disband and push that to next time.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Okay, this is my condensed version. Paras serving as substitutes. I looked at, our subs either earn $88 or $93 a day. 88 for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 93 for Monday, Friday. That's either $11.73 or $12.40 an hour. Our base para pay is $11.43 right now. Second step's $11.72. So anyone who is on third step or more, if they sub on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they had to clock in as that, they would lose money.
Proposal, teachers are paid $10 for every class they cover.
They're paid $10 per hour now.
$10 per hour additional, now would be a stacked, so we got a precedent. How about if we take paras and for every class they cover, we pay them additional, at least 5 or 10 an hour? Is that a possibility?
I say leave pairs where they are and hire your
Yeah.
subs.
There's a
Pairs are
difference,
there to
there's
be
a
with the
difference in
specific
classification there too.
Yep.
There is, but
So
I'm
then
just,
you would be double dipping is
But
what
it's
you'd
still
be
gonna
doing if you
happen
paid this.
sometimes, I mean,
just
regardless.
curious.
Well,
Just trying to-
what we're
But not
gonna
like
do
it
is
is
try to
now.
work on limiting pairs
Okay.
being in a situation where they
That'd be
have to
great.
sub. That's gonna be an administrative emphasis. Secondly, all pairs that we hire going forward, we're gonna require to have at least 60 hours and the substitute certificate. So if they do have to be used in a pinch, at least it will be legal. And then,
Well, I don't know why they.
you know, as our para pay increases, they're gonna get above what the subs are anyway, quite quickly, hopefully. You know, if we're able to follow that through.
But the pairs are hired to be paras, not
Pairs are hired to be
substitutes.
paras.
And that's gonna be a huge
Well, and
emphasis.
another thing, your parents have health insurance. That should be calculated into their hourly rate, not just because subs don't get any benefits. So that's another thing you have to take into consideration.
That's true.
Okay, class sponsor compensation. I put that on the list. I pulled a number out of the air. I put $500. That's higher than some, lower than some. But it is on there for us to consider as we go forward with this process. Expectations for duties outside of contract time. I assume what that was about was that some principals have more meetings after school than others.
Or before.
The policy says that in GCJ, the principal has the authority to assign duties and responsibilities which extend beyond the hours of the standard school day whenever such assignments are necessary for the efficient operation of the school. However, I don't think that means that they have carte blanche authority to say we're meeting every day before and after school. What I would suggest, and this has happened with one school this year, there was teacher concern that there were too many meetings. They brought that concern to, it came to me first, and being always willing to shove it off on others, I said to Dr. Norman, would you look into this? She did. Principal talked with the principal talked with the leadership team of that building, and they came to an agreement that, yes, we won't do these things. It's not necessary, so they cut them back. That's how the process should work.
It's about how many a
Okay,
week.
it ought to be go to your immediate supervisor. If you don't get a result that you're comfortable with, go to next, which would either be Dr. Norman or Dr. Hubbock. And then, just follow it up the chain. But, that's how the process ought to work. And I hope that this group, will be an example of how that should work, and we just need to continue doing that.
There's no way to get that in the handbook, like a maximum, no more than.
What I found on that was there was a lot of things that were like optional. And I think we have to be careful. But when some of them were committees, and so if that was.
Committees aren't optional though.
Right, and but that's where I said, this has to be optional.
Okay.
There you go.
It truly has to be optional.
How about after-school events? Like, you're mandated to go to the PTA skating party, you're mandated to go to the Northside tailgate party.
Or PTA.
All the
You're mandated to sign up for so many
Optional.
events a year. I mean, are they really optional?
I think we need to talk.
Optional, but
I think we need to
also
talk.
highly
Why don't you talk to
We talk to, okay, so
Okay.
we bring it to you.
Yes, and let's talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not saying
That's
that.
what-
I'm
Is that
saying
fair?
other
Yes.
Come
things.
up with a
Yeah.
list of concerns, take them to Dr. Norman.
Okay.
Could you be at our superintendent's
That's good to
dialogue
know.
next month? Maybe we could talk.
Just let me
Yeah.
know when it is.
Okay.
Okay.
That'll work.
Policies, procedures concerning nursing mothers. There obviously is legislation under the Fair Labor Standards Act through the Department of Labor that governs nursing mothers in the workplace. There's board policy that refers to it, and basically what it says is that you need to make sure that they have a clean, quiet place, secluded, all of that good stuff. Secure. The wording in the statute, or in the law says that, if I can find it, I'll read it to you. The requirement says a reasonable time. That's not defined in the act what reasonable is, and it says each time they shall have need. From my discussion with the board members, I don't think they're interested in specifying number or duration of breaks because that varies from individual to individual. So again, the process should be if a nursing mother is not happy with what her administrator has told her, she needs to talk to the administrator, then go to the applicable director, then to, superintendent, then to board if you
Okay.
need to.
We have a.
As
One
long
channel.
as that procedure, we can be clear in what that expectation
Right.
is in that line. Yes, it's fine.
Because you guys are, if you don't realize it, you're not going to find a more employee-friendly board than the one that we have right now. They are very employee-friendly. Sometimes, we'll have to try and rein it in.
That's how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
One of the things, Dr. Kraus, I have found and that revolves around this issue in the district is we don't have a district-wide sign
Or at least
that can be like on the door. And so I think that's something we can work on at our level. And you laugh, but I've been walked in 3 times. And it's people that are doing their job. It's a custodian, it's a director of buildings and grounds, but
They still have keys to get in.
yeah, but just a standard district-wide doorknob that goes on the door so that everybody in the district knows that has master keys. When you see that, you leave that door alone. And you laugh, but it's not funny.
The reason I laugh is because one of those showed up in the district I was in. It was a big sign that said lactation station. And so that's that sign went away.
There's a nice symbol that, there's a picture that we can put up.
I'll bring something to director's meeting.
Yeah, something appropriate.
I will.
I've got a couple that, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I thought that only stayed one day.
That's hilarious.
The coding of PTO days. This is, I want you all to feel sorry for me. This has been the bane of my existence. I had nothing to do with writing this policy, and yet I'm supposed to enforce all of it. I don't remember who submitted that. What are the issues that are still out there with PTO days?
I think the biggest concern I've heard at our level anyway is that people don't like having to put something in that box. So because you click from the drop down at PTO, this, sick, that, which some people are even concerned, why should I have to put sick, doctor appointment, child? It should just be sick. It's really none of your business. I mean, I'm just the messenger. None of your business whether it's a sick day for myself or a sick day for my child. I've heard that, and also then when you click that drop down, then you have to put something in this little text box, and you have to put something there. It will not let you proceed on.
It seems like a setup a little
I
bit.
can tell you, I have told people, just put what you picked from the drop down, write the same thing in the box.
And that's what we said at superintendent.
That's what I have told people, but people feel like
They're being
their
dishonest.
business is being dug into more than it should be.
Or if they don't explain, I know I have some people who feel like they're being dishonest. If they don't put exactly what they're doing.
I thought they just had to put A, B,
Anything
C,
that-
D.
No, they have to make a comment.
Spread this to
too.
all of your PD groups, okay?
I'll show you when we're
All
done what it
nations
looks
and
like.
tribes
I
should
can
do
show you
this.
'cause I have the big one.
If it's a sick day, say sick, that's all you need to say. You don't need to say what it's about. If it's for you, for your child, just put sick.
Can we take those
Can you get
options
those
off the drop down?
then?
It
What-
just,
what options?
we need to have
Would you like to
personal,
see what it
sick,
looks like?
We're talking about ESOP.
Here, I'll pull it
jury.
up so you can see what it looks like, because
there's a ton.
Okay, if you say personal, that's all you need to say. Personal,
In
put
the
personal in
comments
the bottom
section,
little
none
box.
yet.
In the comment, that's all you need to do.
We're gonna pretend I'm gonna put in that I need to be gone
And then
next
the comments, you just put none.
It doesn't accidentally.
No, I won't hit anything. So then absence reasons, see all of these reasons, I have to pick, I can't just put paid time off. I have to pick one of these reasons.
Is it A through J reasons?
Yeah.
Yes, and then,
That's what
It should
you
just
guys
say
agreed on.
sick though. I know.
and then it says
But
paid
it was
time off, sick day self,
It was
paid time
supposed to
off,
be
sick day
PTO.
doctor
Those were
appointment,
just
paid
guidelines
time
for
off,
taking
sick
it.
family. That's where people are, they
So it
feel like
should be
that's
sick.
really, we shouldn't have to tell you
Or
that. If it's a sick
personal
day,
then.
it's
That
sick
should just-
day.
Well, but we have to track it for,
Well, that's what it, that's what's.
that's one reason.
I think we talked about that when we negotiated last year, and it's our job to come to you for FMLA. It's not your job
Well,
to
but it-
track it.
Yes.
But we
That's
still
what
have
we
to-
discussed when we
That's
negotiated
the
the
direct
policy.
supervisors,
Right.
and that's what we
For last year,
said.
that's
And
what
we
we
had agreed that it would say sick
Sick
or
personal.
PTO or personal.
FMLA, within a 12-month period, you can only have so many days.
Yes, we know, and so do our supervisors.
So if you take too many days off before you find up for the FMLA, that includes those days. So we have to track them if they're sick.
But you don't, I mean, our supervisors know.
HR has to know. That's why you're marking those. It's not for your supervisors, it's for HR
Well,
to
then
keep
even
track
with
of it.
sick or personal, that still covers that.
If you're sick and you're taking a, sorry, Brian.
I guess the issue is, why do we have to micromanage the reason so much?
I think that's the
It just
issue.
needs to say
Okay.
sick or personal.
Well, what about like jury?
But what if
Well,
your
that's
kids-
on here. That can stay. If
Okay,
you
that's
have
what I'm talking
jury.
about. Like, keep those dropped.
Jury, yes, but all the paid time off ones need, I think that's
Gotcha.
where the issue has been.
And then we have to comment after that.
Personally,
Now, I will say one thing,
I'm working on it for the district.
that nebulous personal business category that's out there, that's one I do feel like we need to have some more description of that. Because I've had personal business being things like, I need to go shopping at Walmart. Well, is that personal
It
business?
says in the policy, though.
Yeah,
But it
but,
can't be done outside.
Yeah, the
well,
policy
but,
says.
yeah, there are a lot of things that people think can't be done outside of business hours. I'm saying it's abused, and so with that personal business, yeah, I am gonna say, what kind of personal business is this? Now, if it's, I need to consult with an attorney, fine, don't tell me any more than that. I don't need to know anything beyond that. I don't need to know if it's, a custody battle or whatever. But I do need to know, is it really personal business? Same way if you're closing on a house loan, if they just say personal business and don't tell me, well, yeah, house loans are gonna close during work hours.
And you're
That's the only
talking
time
after
we do.
those 3 personal days have already been used.
No, personal
You don't have to
business is
use-
different than personal days.
That's okay, gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha, okay.
Personal
So,
days are yours.
I'll
Yeah.
have
You don't have to give
Lisa
a
look
reason.
at this. This is set up through ASOP, and we can make some adjustments to that. I'll get more information about why it's so finely differentiated and come back with that next time.
They just listed
For
A
you
through
guys.
J, which we had strongly, if you look back at the videos, and we can find that for you, had said we only wanted to say certain things, and then that wasn't followed.
So it
Not to
does-
your fault.
It does say A through J.
Yes, but that
what's
was,
after A through J is not what you agreed
no,
on.
we said. it
Even
would
though I
either-
voted on it twice.
It would, but you didn't vote what was put on in ASOP
I
though.
know.
That's the admin thing. We'd said, we only wanted it to say personal or sick or like personal business or school business. It was like 5 or 6 things, but it wasn't to list so detailed like sick kids, sick doctor, sick.
Those were examples.
Those were supposed to be guidelines to taking a PTO day, but somehow it's no longer PTO days. They're strictly defined. Which is fine, I
Okay.
suppose, but it needs to say personal, sick, personal business, school business.
I'll look at it and see if some of those can be eliminated.
Like any of them that say sick in the beginning, that probably.
I think that's the biggest one, because the personal, the PTO ones are the A through J or whatever, however many there are. It's the sick one that I
Just leave
think.
it sick day period.
Sick
You don't
day
need to know
or
if
paid
you're
time off
sick or
and
your
is it
kid's sick
because
or your
you're.
husband's sick or
Yes,
whatever.
exactly.
Okay,
It's
I'll
just a
look
sick
at
day.
that.
Dr. Cross, I
Yes.
had several people come to me today because we've never had to take a PTO day when there's a snow day. We just we just didn't go in, there wasn't any school.
Okay,
and so
I've gotten a lot of questions about that, and
Yeah.
again, I obviously wasn't here for the development of that, and I don't understand it thoroughly myself. What I did do was look through the inclement weather schedule.
Right.
It appears there are certain groups that are required to come in, 12-month central office, 12-month maintenance warehouse, et cetera. And then, as I understand it, if you're not in the required list, if you don't come in, you don't get paid. However, it says hourly employees who are not required to work on these days will not receive pay, but may use paid leave time if applicable. Well, that's all well and good, except it doesn't explain to me what if applicable means. In districts I've been at before, that meant if you had a sick day and you wanted to substitute a sick day so you got paid for that snow day, you could. I'm gonna get more clarification on that. Can you guys shed the light, any light on that?
That's what it's intended for. We meant it to be that if there's a snow day, they can take a PTO day
They shouldn't
rather
have
than.
to.
Any sort of PTO days,
Any
as
sort of
long as they
PTO
have a leave day.
As long as they have a
left.
leave day.
In the past, they
long as
used
they have
to
it in your
get
bank.
paid for snow days.
we've never
And since Dr. Newhart came aboard, he changed
That
that.
doesn't make
Okay.
sense.
Well, then my question is, let's say we miss 7
doesn't
days,
count
let's say
against
we have 10 snow days, we have to make up 4 days. what about those employees? Do we work those 4 days?
Yeah, see, those 4 days you
How
wouldn't
does-
take a PTO day on because those days will be made up at a later date. See, if we made up our days,
But not
then you wouldn't have to take a leave
But
day.
according to
since
policy, I wouldn't have to work.
Since they're built in.
They're built in, you shouldn't.
the 6 are,
Yeah,
But if you took more than
If they're built
6.
in, then why should we have to take it?
Exactly.
because you're hourly employees and you have to be paid for every hour that you work.
Right.
So if they give you the day off as a snow day or whatever it is, then you're not actually working and earning any money that day.
So then the question becomes,
it's
well,
lost
what if I wanna
funds.
go in and work? I've had people ask
Then it
me
would be
that,
lost
well, what if I wanna go in and
You
work?
can report to
Go in and
work.
work.
But then
Yes.
there's no,
Well, being
does there have to be a supervisor there?
The principals, the 12-month employees are to work.
I think principals only have to do, in
4
elementary.
hours.
Yeah,
We have to do 4 hours.
Just FYI.
But on our time sheet,
Well, and there's no reason for them to be in the building.
I've 21 years it's been.
So much for that 10-minute
Can we put
explanation.
that on the agenda for
Policy
next
now?
time, please?
Yeah.
Next Wednesday
you.
we meet, Lori and I are also policy committee. And so, we meet on Wednesdays with Dr. Newhart and Donna, and maybe Dr. Cross could come in and we could pull that policy. I've asked for like a month to have all employee policies pulled so that we don't come up against these. You know, the plan would have been to have them earlier, ready a year earlier than this, but we can certainly pull that policy and work on it again.
Okay, I think we're through at least minimally those things. Your basic homework for next time is to meet with your groups, see what's brewing out there, talk with them through this list of many items that cost money. If, as you come up with potential agenda items between now and the next few weeks, just email them to me. I'll let us get out of here as soon as we can. I really appreciate all your time. I think we got a lot done. Those are two big things pretty much off our list, and so we'll
And I just
proceed.
want to say thank you for the support, because I know the support staff is just one little tiny group, and you guys are all teachers. And
Yeah.
it was really,
But you guys are
really
important.
very important. Well, but
building doesn't
sometimes people don't
happen
think that, so I'm going to convey how supportive.
You are, you're important.
Yeah.
It was really.
Anybody who's ever been a building principal knows that you guys really
It's
run the building.
unreal.
If you're a
That's
teacher,
true.
you know that you people run the building.
You don't want to
So thank you very much. Anything else before we disband?
Steps district-wide on current salary schedule is 1.4 million.
That's
That's everybody on
everybody.
current salary schedule. That's with no changes of the salary schedule.
Oh, so
It's
if we're gonna-
1.4 million.
That's everybody?
That's everybody. That's administrators, teachers, Hilliard, support staff.
No, that's what I came up with, like one.
And we'll get you that master's column.
Yeah, give me whatever, send it to Dr. Kraus, and then he'll forward it on to me.
Next meeting's November 17th. Again, like I said, if you're having meetings and I won't disrupt anything, invite me, please. I have no life. I'd like to come.
You have no life?
You can come sit at my parent-teacher conferences.
I have no life.
I'm not gonna have to
All right, thank you.
You can come